This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo, what's up, peoples?
What's up? Yankees win.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
I think
all of sports this year have a giant asterisk, and we just need to take it for what it is. This is a way to kind of bring the country back together.
The Rich Eisen Show. Today's guests, Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, actor Rob Lowe, plus comedian George Lopez. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of The Rich Eisen Show. Pleased to be on our triple cast here on this Friday in Los Angeles, California. We're here on Sirius XM Channel 211, our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show. We say hello to our NBCSN friends here for all 3 hours from noon to 3 Eastern time. And last time we said hello to our NBCSN friends was way back on Monday. And Chris Brockman, good to see you over there. Good to see Mike Del Tufo over there. As you guys know, we were on the air yesterday, and I'll just again remind everybody from NBCSN that despite not having been on since Monday, I still am, as you could see, best dad ever.
Yep.
Now,
well done.
You know,
well done.
It's been 4 days since we last revisited this issue, and nothing's changed. Still best dad
Still going
ever.
strong.
And
Yep.
things at home are still going strong. Now 3 months into quarantine. There we go. Hold on a minute. Got to make it. There we go. Got to make
safe.
it. Okay, ticker safe for NBCSN. There we go. Best dad ever, as you could see. Again, no offense to all the other dads out there. No offense.
None taken.
None at all.
None taken.
Hey, the NFL announced yesterday they're still going. They're going full board July 28th. Everybody, that's when training camp's going to open up. And man, late July. If we can all just hope together, if we could all just grab hands, as there's ways you can look at it, right? Florida announced 9,000 new cases of coronavirus. 9,000. That's a record or something, to use the Kenny Mayne phrase.
Nice.
On the, I guess, other hand, the NBA tested 302 of their players for coronavirus in advance of arriving in the state of Florida to zip up that part of Disney World where they're hanging out with 3 hotels that Mike Del Tufo knows very well, all of them. And only 5%, 16 of them, tested positive for coronavirus. So if the rest of them, I don't want to do math, 302 minus 16, whatever that number is. What is that?
286.
286. Thank you. The 286, just stay where you are. Don't go out. Don't see anybody. Don't, just stay at home. Play whatever games you want with your family, whatever video games you want with your friends, whatever movies. If you're up for, as they say, Netflix and chilling, you can do that. I have to say, also to my friends at NBCSN, would Peacock and chill have the same connotation to it?
I think so.
Just throwing that out there.
I think you're right.
Okay. Just stream Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and chill. My son is very happy that got renewed for a second season. So at any rate, just NBA, just hang out, stay where you are. Because 16, these guys can hopefully, let's just get everybody healthy and well, and let's go. Baseball, same thing. Hockey, still haven't announced the where and the when. I mean,
still working it out, man. I know.
There's a biscuit, and we have no idea where the baskets are going to be. Still waiting to hear that. But the Premier League, which is about to take over the NBCSN schedule, seems to be doing well. So does NASCAR. I know By the way, congratulations to all fans of Liverpool. Congratulations adjacent to my Red Sox fan over there.
I guess.
Right?
I guess, yeah.
Hey, if you don't have the Red Sox to root for, got to root for, the other part of the sports conglomerate.
Might as well.
First championship in 30 years. First regular season title.
That Man City-Chelsea match yesterday was amazing.
So, I mean, this is exactly why we told baseball, get your you-know-what together. We're all watching Premier League action, and I don't think those are words I've ever heard come out of your mouth.
No. I was locked in yesterday.
What you just said.
Cage also loves soccer. He likes the big green pitch.
Well,
he's focused in on the colors.
No better sport for little babies to watch than hockey. Because when the screen is just white and bright, and they're all skating all over the place, they're just like, what in the heck is this?
Yeah. Dialed in.
And then again, I mean, if anybody who's just wondering where if their bathroom is just right there on your lap, they'll watch anything pretty much, I think. So, we're hoping the NFL can go on time. And in the meantime, all the rage is. I never knew so many people paying attention to the New York Jets before. I never thought in a million years. I thought me and my brother, my nephew, and Gary Vaynerchuk, and Stu Gatz, right?
Stu Gatz
we're all in the
Jets
same boat.
fan.
All of us, right?
Yep.
Am I missing anybody? Am I missing anybody that talks nationally or speaks into a microphone?
Mike Greenberg.
Greeny. How could I forget that?
Yeah.
He said he's going to rename his children Sam and Darnold.
Yeah.
That was prior to Sam Darnold.
Last year.
That was prior to Sam Darnold getting the old mono.
That was about 10 months ago.
I tweeted back at him if he was going to rename his children Mono and Nucleosis. Everybody wants a piece of Jamal Adams, and this is just the biggest non-story in my mind. It's a non-story in my mind because the Jets have 2 years of contractual control on this kid, and there's no reason for them to trade him now. What are they just, afraid he's not going to show up at his Microsoft team meeting? And if he doesn't show up to training camp because he's pissed off at the Jets, then the Jets will have to figure something out to get him in. But after a while, what's he going to do? Just look at Melvin Gordon. They'll play defense without him. And I love the kid. But he really doesn't have much of the hand here at all. Unless he wants to sit out. And I guess now would be the time to sit out if you want to, 100% just quarantine yourself. But I don't think he's got a leg to stand on. And now Adam Gase has chimed in, calling his game speed phenomenal. Didn't he get benched last year to be taught a lesson on a Monday Night Football game? Didn't that happen?
I believe so, yep.
Again, everybody wants a piece of Jamal Adams. You're not getting him. The Jets aren't going to trade him now, right in the middle of a pandemic, right before there's a training camp that will either open or not open. But we're hoping it's going to open. And in that regard, we've got Adam Schefter calling in at the top of our second hour. Love this man. I have known this guy since the University of Michigan days when he was 1 year ahead of me, and he was basically learning at the side of Mitch Albom. And all of us on the Michigan Daily were like, how the hell did he get involved with Mitch Albom? I've known this guy for 25 years. I love him like a member of the family, and he will be joining me on this show, joining all of us at the top of hour number 2, and we'll talk some ball with him. John Smoltz is going to be calling in about 10 minutes' time. We got ourselves a bona fide baseball Hall of Famer. Should we talk baseball with him? Because I'm not going to turn a baseball Hall of Famer into a public health and safety expert. That's what we,
No,
do.
yeah. We can talk golf with them.
We could do that, right?
Yeah.
And then in our third hour, Rob Lowe and George Lopez back-to-back.
Bring the laughs.
Rob's got a new podcast out that we'll talk about. His next guest is Magic Johnson.
I've heard of him.
And as he told me, he wants to talk about the upcoming podcast with Magic Johnson because he says that he spoke to Magic in a way that Magic's very rarely been spoken to.
What could that be?
I don't know. I can't wait to hear what that means. And I wonder when Rob first met him.
Wow.
And I'll just throw this out.
Elmo's fire
I will
days?
just throw this out. I will just throw this out. I have a feeling Diane Cannon has to be involved in this conversation for some reason.
And Jack Nicholson, probably.
Because Rob's memoir is a must-read. Just the story of him dating Cary Grant's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
That's where he watched his first ever appearance, I think, on television was for an after-school special that aired, and he watched it in the house of Cary Grant. And the story is great. I think it wound up with a soap on a rope being involved as well. That's from one of the many appearances Rob Lowe has had on this show in the near 6 years that we've been running. And I don't think we've ever had George Lopez on, which is amazing because he's a diehard Raiders fan and he's got a new Netflix special out that we'll talk about later on. Your phone calls throughout. We're wide open to it at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. What is our poll question of the day over there, Christopher?
Okay, we're going to go NFL.
Love it.
Since Schefter's on, we're going to talk a little NFL here. Who's won the offseason? Rex Ryan not involved in this. I love it. Not involved in this.
I know. You know, you're referencing that because he said one year that was that the Jets or the Bills?
I think every year he claimed to have won the offseason. All right, here we go. Here's who we got. I took off one of the teams that you suggested because they actually did not have a good offseason.
What are you talking about?
49ers did not have a good offseason.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they didn't acquire anyone.
Dude.
In this little list I'm watching, they were given a C-.
Who gave them a C-?
Yahoo. Key additions, none. Key losses, DeForest Buckner and Emmanuel Sanders.
Oh, my gosh.
And they re-signed and tagged Eric Armstead and Jimmy Ward.
I will take that exclamation point from Yahoo.
How can you argue with that?
Easily.
Who did they add?
I would take the 49ers as having had the best offseason.
Well, you're going to have to
anybody that you're about to say.
You're going to have to call into your own show and make the case because they're not on the list. Was it a better offseason than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? No. Better than the Arizona Cardinals? No. Better than the Buffalo Bills? Nope. How about the Miami Dolphins?
Should I make this point now?
Because according to Yahoo, great.
I'm going to do this now. I was planning on unpacking this later on.
Yahoo, B+ for the Dolphins that you just poo-pooed.
Who at Yahoo? Give me a name. Is it Charles? Is it Charles Robinson?
Give me a name.
Who at Yahoo?
Frank Schwab.
Frank Schwab. Is that a long-distant relative of Charles? Howie? Stump the Schwab?
Are we stumping him?
Because I'm stumped by it. Let me tell you about the San Francisco 49ers. Let me tell you, I have got the time. I've got a mug. I've got the show. I'm the best dad ever. All right? I've got runway.
Okay, I mean, make the case because,
here we go.
They're at the bottom
here. The
here.
reason why the 49ers have had the best offseason of anyone, more than all four names that you pulled out of your Orify.
I mean, I left out the Browns and the Raiders.
Fine,
also, strong grades from Yahoo.
When you're not in the Super Bowl, when you're not at the cream of the crop, you don't make all of those moves. What you do is you tweak and you get smart and you use your opportunity that is available to you, cap and draft-wise. Here's why the 49ers had a better offseason than even Tampa. And I know Tampa added the GOAT.
Wow. All right. I'm all
and I love the GOAT. All right. And I assume that's ticker-friendly, this helmet. Here's why. The San Francisco 49ers had a problem paying everybody on their defensive line. So they flipped DeForest Buckner to Indianapolis for a first-round draft choice and then paid Eric Armstead. He's in the fold. I've got all my information. All my ducks are flat out in a row.
Yeah, but that's just a lateral move, the one for one.
It's not a lateral move when you can't keep them all. It's not. It's how many cap hamstrung teams figure out late that they don't have the people to win. And I'm staring now, taking off my glasses and leaning over and staring at my Dallas Cowboy friend and TJ Jefferson over there.
Uh-oh.
Figuring out how much pie there is in Dallas, signing people late and figuring out.
There is less pie.
And having $60 million essentially going to your quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. It's called managing your team and your roster and your cap. That's what it's called there. Guess what they also did? The San Francisco 49ers re-signed Jimmy Ward for 3 years. Okay? They re-signed their safety as opposed to the New York Jets who have got their safety driving around telling their people who are screaming at them, go to Dallas, I'm trying. How far are the Jets from the Super Bowl? You can't even find it with binoculars.
It's in Tampa this year.
Excuse me. They have a guy on the offensive line, Joe Staley, who's got Hall of Fame credentials, who decides to retire. What do they do to fix that? In the middle of the draft, they get Trent Williams. The Rams head coach, Sean McVay, was just basically flat out saying, where the hell did that come from? The whole league needs Trent Williams. Who got him? The defending NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. That's who got him. And to stump the Charles Schwab's cousin, with all due respect to you, Frank, I love Emmanuel Sanders. We love him. He's great.
We do.
We love everything about him, his gumption, his attitude.
Gumption, good word.
Yes, we love his heart. We love his soul. He's one of our favorite interviews. He's a friend of the program. He's also 32 years old. So what do? You let him walk, and then manipulating your draft board with the pick that you get from Indianapolis and the own draft pick that you have. You go and you replace the guy you traded away in DeForest Buckner with Javon Kinlaw, who everybody believes might be the best D tackle in the draft. And then you get Brandon Ayuk of Arizona State to replace Emmanuel Sanders. Now, the only issue with this offseason is Deebo Samuel hurt himself. We're assuming he's going to be back. But they get younger. They get better. They rearrange their cap properly. And on top of it all, they didn't lose anybody from their staff, which normally happens to any team that goes to the Super Bowl. They didn't lose anybody from their staff, and they signed their coach to a multi-year extension. So I understand Arizona gets DeAndre Hopkins, and I know what Buffalo did to get Stephon Diggs, and I understand why you would put Miami on that list because of what they did in free agency and whoever else you put on that, and whoever else you put there. But none of those teams were in the Super Bowl, rearranged for the future, got smarter, and kept the people they need to keep. More than the San Francisco 49ers. How about that for an exclamation point, Mr. Yahoo?
They didn't win the Super Bowl.
All right.
So who are we taking off?
We'll take your phone calls at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. I'll address that in a moment. We've got a Hall of Famer in John Smoltz coming up. I'm feeling it. We're going to have a great day here on The Rich Eisen Show. MLB Network, Fox Sports analyst, Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz when we come back on in BCSN. I mean, I didn't even mention a couple of their signings. It's none of it's sexy. It's smart. And they got younger.
Not sexy.
How many Super Bowl teams get older? Because we'll just keep running it back. I
mean, traditionally speaking, the Super Bowl is how old? 54 years? The loser of the Super Bowl doesn't really fare well the following season.
Well, you think the 49ers are going to fall off?
I'm just saying, historically speaking, that's what happens.
Except for the Patriots. They didn't fall off.
In 2002, they missed the playoffs.
One of the 9 times You choose the one of the 9 times they made the Super Bowl that they didn't, but they didn't. They won the year before.
Yeah, and then they lost the next year. Just saying. 2000.
What happened the other 8 times they went to the Super Bowl?
2015, they lost in the AFC Championship.
One year they missed it entirely because Brady had his knee blown up.
Yeah.
So you could throw that one out. Come on.
Just saying.
You're grasping
at straws. They won 11 games, though. They won 11 games.
I know, with Matt Castle.
So,
Just wait till you see what happens with Stid.
When
when he goes to Seattle, and instead of the 12s, he sees 12 tarps that have been sold to somebody. Did you hear that's what the NFL announced yesterday?
Shout out to Sam Farmer. He called that months ago.
Just put tarps and sell your advertising.
Yeah. Del Tufo's Ram seats are gone now.
Yeah. First day rows. See ya.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I'll be in a box maybe.
Where were you? Row 2?
You won't be in that stadium.
There's no way.
I don't think you're in Southern California.
The Rams actually did the right thing, and they did a great thing. And it's
we got an email yesterday from the Rams saying that you could opt out of your 2020 tickets, roll everything over that you've paid so far to 2021.
Which
I
is
think
what you
New England
do.
did that too. I think most NFL teams are going to do that.
They have to do that.
New season tickets.
Yeah. I mean, this is our first year. It's like they gotta
just make you feel good about it.
Well, are you gonna sell those to Cowboys fans then?
What, the rollovers?
Yeah, you're gonna sell the rollover to Cowboy fans?
Yeah. I mean, for the right price.
For that opener?
I mean,
you would have been there for that.
Oh, in a minute.
That you wouldn't have messed with.
Maybe.
Brockman may not have. I was definitely going. 100%. Then I would have been in Vegas the week after.
It would have been pretty cool, man. It would have been pretty cool.
2 opening stadiums within a week.
Okay, NBCSN is almost back from its commercial break, so all of us here on Sirius XM Channel 211 after Dan Patrick Show every single day and YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show, all of our 454s, we say we appreciate you being where you are. Stay where you are. When we come back, John Smoltz, our friend in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and also the booth for MLB and Fox, will be joining us on the other side. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Let's have a conversation today. Adam Schefter will be joining us later on in the show. Rob Lowe and George Lopez in our third and final hour on this Friday on NBCSN and SiriusXM and YouTube.com/Rich Eisen Show. And we're pleased to have here to talk a little bit of baseball. Our Baseball Hall of Fame friend from MLB and also from Fox is John Smoltz. How are you, John?
I'm doing good, man. Thanks. Hope you are too.
I am. My family's healthy. We're going a little bit crazy, but we're knocking on wood on that front. And I hope the same for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent. All right, John. In your days in Major League Baseball from 1988 all the way through to 2009, you saw quite some conversations between baseball and the union. What were you thinking as you were watching all of these machinations over the last few weeks trying to put a 2020 season together?
Well, much like when I went through it personally as a player, you realize that not everything that everybody hears in the media or in the papers is accurately going to be described. Sometimes it works as posturing. Sometimes it's a scenario where it's not even close. But I thought the whole time that something would be worked out. I remained optimistic, just having been through it, knowing that it's not always depicted the right way. So, look, it's always a tenuous situation when you're trying to negotiate something under normal circumstances. I can't even imagine what it's like to throw in a million other possibilities into trying to figure that out. So it was definitely, on the outside looking in, people don't really understand how this came to be. But the good news is it's where it is right now, and baseball is going to be played, and it's going to be one of the most intriguing and exciting seasons we've ever seen, although be it 60 games. That's the big part of what makes it so intriguing.
Exactly. And I do want to get into that baseball discussion and go down that wormhole and talk about the game and what the season might look like from a strategy standpoint and obviously a wins and losses standpoint. But I do want to just linger a little bit here on what you just said about not everything gets reported properly. What did you mean by that, John?
Well, I think that you send your message out at times, and depending on how it's received or depending on how it's even, written, sometimes gets little pockets of information get out, whether, that's the majority or the minority of feeling something in a situation where you have a negotiation going on. So, I just know that back when we were doing what we were doing, it was a total different set of circumstances. It was a more veteran-laden kind of experienced leadership in baseball was more filled with older players. This is a totally different set of players and a totally different set of circumstances. So I don't think the two quite come together as the same, and leadership's different. So, all that being said, you're going to have things, and you hope players are as informed as they can be and certainly represent the voices as best as they can.
Yeah, I know, but I guess the mistrust between both sides still lingers, huh, John? I mean,
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's definitely going to be some bumpy roads down the road. I mean, they still have to work out some kinks, just like, again, the last 3 to 4 years, you're going to have two sets of narrative. Players are going to believe something. The owners are going to believe something. That's why you have an impasse at times, and you try to figure out how to come to an understanding. And you hope, as we were hoping, that leadership represents the mass of opinion rather than a small pocket. And, not being in that anymore, I have no way of knowing, how that played out. But I go back to, having this, it's hard to carve out a timeout. Like, this should have been a timeout in our world because this is unprecedented circumstances. So disagreements should definitely be on hold, but the timeout should have figured out a way to get baseball played. And however it got to, I'm glad we're playing baseball.
Exactly. And, everyone's supposed to report by, I guess, next Wednesday. In just a matter of days. John Smoltz here on the Rich Eisen Show. Biggest challenge is what for getting ready here?
Honestly, the biggest challenge, it's going to seem weird, the biggest challenge is the mental change that every player is going to have. And I'm talking about playing in front of an empty stadium, to having 4 months off, to not being in game scenarios that you would be totally, your body's ready for this type of the year to make that push. It's going to be fresh. It's going to help a lot of people who've been hurting and have injuries. That's definitely going to be one side effect that's good. But I think players are going to have to be creative in their thinking of how do they maintain focus without the extra adrenaline with fans and the extra narrative that they're normally used to, right? Travel's going to be somewhat the same, although regional. It's just going to be odd for a while. And the players, especially that are going to have the most to try to get ready in their own work, is the pitchers, because the pitchers are going to miss out on a lot of reps that get them ready for the up and downs and get them ready for the long haul of the season. Now it's a sprint. So pitchers the first 2 weeks are going to have to figure out how quickly they're connected to their mechanics. The pitchers with the least awkward mechanics, in other words, the ones that are most tied to their mechanics and have a smooth delivery, are going to be the ones that jump out, in my opinion, in front and have an advantage. The high-working, high-velocity, much needed to get in tune with their mechanics may struggle early on. And let's face it, the pressure's on because you don't have a lot of time to struggle, in theory, because it's only 60 games.
So give me some names of some of those pitchers that you're talking about, John.
Well, the veteran pitchers should have a nod anyways, because they've been through so much of what they know they can pitch, right? But I think offhand, like guys who don't throw super hard but command the strike zone, I think strike throwers are going to have a real decided advantage in the early end. The guys with stuff, the hitters still haven't faced pitching, live pitching. That's all true. But I think of in this world, like maybe a Kyle Hendricks. He's the name that just jumps out to me. He could throw strikes. He could probably take 4 months off and always throw strikes, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. So that guy's going to have some value right away for the Cubs. But I think anybody who doesn't rely strictly on high velocity to be effective, that can find the strike zone is going to have and going to be, shoot, guys like Clayton Kershaw and Bumgarner and Scherzer and Verlander, and I don't think those guys are going to necessarily have issues. It's just I know from past experiences, as hard throwers get into rhythm, it takes them a little while into the season to be connected to where it now clicks, and that's where the dominance comes in. When it clicks, those guys are the reason why they're the best.
John Smoltz here on the Rich Eisen Show. You mentioned how difficult it's going to be, or at least for an adjustment to play in front of no fans. What are we going to hear? What are we as fans going to hear that we normally wouldn't, John?
Well, let me take you back to 1988 and 89 in the Atlanta Braves Stadium when there was 1,500 fans. You can hear the lights buzzing. You're going to hear people. You're going to hear everything. You hear the ball hit the seats. So I found myself wandering too many times on the mound, hearing things you normally don't hear, and that's the discipline of concentration that I'm talking about. I mean, you're going to hear the dugouts yelling. You're going to hear everything that you would never hear because the dull roar that is actually in a stadium, and you're going to hear the cracks of the bat and all the things. So that part, getting spring training in their cities, in their parks without any fans, is going to help. But it's still weird, man. It goes back to American Legion days, maybe even Little League. Well, Little League, you still have parents that are yelling at each one of their children to get the ball down, keep your eye on it.
Right.
So I think the creative teams are really going to get out in front, both philosophically, changing some philosophical strategies, and maybe having fun in the dugout with some banter and chatter that you would only hear kind of in Little League and American League Legion. So that part's going to be intriguing, and to be honest, it's going to be very challenging for the broadcasters as well, because it's going to be different, except for the ones that are there on site. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a whole challenge for every industry to figure out how you can adapt to something that's new, something that has a little excitement behind it, but also a little trepidation of the fact that you don't know this. This is foreign to everybody, and I really look forward to see the teams that are cohesive and get out in front and collectively work a plan out are going to be the team that has success. I really believe that.
All right, so you left a couple strands I want to pull on here, John. First things first, in terms of the broadcasting, have you and Fox and MLB Network had conversations about what this looks like? Are you going to be sitting in your home for some of these, calling the games? Has that already been a conversation for you, John?
Yeah, that's been part of the conversations. I know both entities are looking at the best way to keep everybody in a healthy and safe way and bring a broadcast to the people's homes in the best form that they can. You've seen other sports doing this kind of stuff. I think you're going to see similar scenarios play out. That's what's got me a little nervous of the unknown. I like structure. I want to desperately get back to structure. I've never played this much golf in my life, so I'm not complaining about the golf part.
Right.
But I do like structure, and then having to squeeze in golf makes me feel like I'm back where I need to be.
Okay.
Instead of every day, being Groundhog Day.
Would you be cool, or do you think the players would be fine if to get some sort of home field advantage? Certainly, when the playoffs roll around, to get some sort of crowd noise where it's difficult for the pitcher to think, difficult for the hitter to focus, that sort of thing. Would you be fine with that being pumped in?
You mean pumping in crowd noise?
Yes, sir. To make it some sort of home field advantage. You know what it's like when the towels are waving and you're on the road.
True.
And
did the Falcons get in trouble for that? Oh, I should have.
No. Also, yeah, no. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is I'm talking about that for the NFL too. Like, yeah, that there's when the NBA returns, the NHL returns, to try and create something to enhance or get it as close to as possible what it would be like normally.
Yeah, I doubt we're going to see that. There's just too many scenarios that could be created there unfairly, other than the natural crowd that is understanding the moment. So, again, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful we'll trend in the right direction and we'll be able to get crowds at the end of the year. Don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but this is a step in the right direction from the fact that baseball is going to be played, it's going to be viewed. There's going to be an excitement that you and I've talked about my first half, second half scenario. We'll need to go back into it, but here's a preview of it. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a small preview of what that's like to know that, let's say this is the second half of the season and it's a sprint to the playoffs for that particular team that would not have had a chance in a 162. I think there's a lot of things that could come out of this season things that they like or don't like about potential rule changes that could be really, why not? This is the perfect scenario to throw out whatever you think is goofy, great, or bad and test it out, because no one's going to have an advantage in any of these rule changes that have taken place. And I can't wait to watch this sprint, because I know after 21 years of playing 162 games and 14 straight years of going to the postseason, what a grind and what a roster, and how important it is to have a roster set up for 162. Now you're bringing in at least 30% of the teams that would not have had a chance had we started this season on time and played out this to its fulfillment. So that part, I cannot wait as a broadcaster to look out and see the teams that are impacted differently by this schedule.
Okay, so then I was going to ask you about the second thing, the second strand that you wanted me to pull on. I'm going to hold off on that. Which teams do you think normally over the 162 would have an issue, but over the 60 have got a real shot to make a run here that we're not talking about?
Okay, so an example, maybe not looking into it with the roster eye of knowing how many people are going to be healthy, right? And how many people are going to avoid this. I would say a good example would be like a San Diego Padre, where most people aren't talking about the San Diego Padres in 162, but they're talking about what's coming, right? They're talking about the youth, the pitching. Do they have enough? Now, for 60 games, that young pitching has enough. So they could be an upstart and a surprise team that would not be talked about in 162 with all the talent they have. And the Cincinnati Reds, a team that jump out when you think about all the moves they made in the offseason and their opportunities now with a DH to accompany the acquisitions they made, and maybe a couple people that are out of position. So the DH is a big thing for a lot of teams that didn't think that was going to be in play, but maybe anticipated it by acquiring certain players, because you kind of look and go, why did they acquire that guy? He's out of position. And now it looks pretty good that they got him, whether it's a Nick Castellanos or who have you. So I look at teams that were a little short in pitching but have talent in pitching, that over 162 you can't hide those warts. I liken it to this. You play a golf tournament, and one day you can hide your weakness. Try to hide your weakness in 4-day tournament. It's almost impossible. It comes up and it shows up. And that's what a 162 does for a lot of teams who don't have the depth and the roster or the minor leagues to sustain, the unforeseen of injuries or the likes of that. And
you said earlier that the team that gets creative might have an advantage. You weren't referring to any trash cans, were you, John, when you said creative?
No, none of that. I was referring to a strategy on the field that would not typically be part of our DNA today. And I mean, getting runners over is going to be more important, getting that run in.
Yep.
I think some teams are not going to deviate, and they're just going to go ahead and still try to smash the ball and power its way. But I think the teams that do deviate in 60 games would have a decided advantage for creating an opportunity to increase their chances, because in 162 it may not mean as much. I may agree with some of the analytics that come out there, but I would argue that in 60 games you're going to see that it might.
Okay, a couple more minutes left with John Smoltz, Baseball Hall of Famer. In terms of the health and safety protocols that have been mentioned, and they are very, very stringent, including no spitting, which player or coach from your days as a player would have had the most trouble with the no spitting rule, John?
Oh, my gosh. There'd be a lot. There's, the tobacco chewing days. Even our skipper, Bobby Cox, would have a shirt kind of dripping with some of the remnants of the tobacco as he was trying to get the umpire's attention on several different what he thought was missed calls. So I think that's going to be a big time adjustment too. I mean, this is what we're asking everybody to do, is try to, for the time being, adjust what's normal. And even if you don't agree in theory, and even if you don't agree with certain people that are trying to protect everybody else, you're going to have to adhere and make the best case scenario out of it, whether it's seeds or tobacco, or we don't get much yelling at umpires anymore.
Well, but we'll hear it. Now we're going to hear it. I mean, all that stuff with the lip reading on Twitter, we'll just hear it ourselves now. You don't need any lip reading translation, I imagine,
Right.
Could you imagine Bobby Cox that we get to hear? We got to hear every word that came out of his mouth. There would have to be an NC-17 on rating on the games, right, John?
There would, and there would be a lot of. I miss a lot of those funny lines he used to say, and one of my favorites, Bobby Cox, top of the first, 2 outs in the first, and inevitably it would be yelling, "Both ways, both ways." Someone has to remind Bobby we hadn't played the bottom of the first yet.
That's fantastic. Oh, John, that's amazing. I love that story. That is amazing. Before I let you go, how is your golf game? Are you ready for?
Well, it is good. Yeah, I'm in a club championship. I haven't been able to play in my club championship because it's normally in October.
Okay.
So for the last 12 years, that's been out of the picture. So they moved it to today and tomorrow. Oh. And I got to take on a bunch of guys that are half my age. But this is a great test for me to get ready for Tahoe, which is in a couple weeks. Yeah. And I don't have many things that get my competitive juices going, but this is one of them. So
for Tahoe, the American Century, that is part of NBC Sports, should Romo see Smoltz getting larger in his rearview mirror? Or what should we say about this?
I mean, this is the first time for all of us. Of course, we're not going to have fans there, so the whole idea of playing is going to make it easier for some of the guys who got nervous for obvious reasons. 10,000 people standing on a hole. But I think for all of us who have been in the same boat, it should be one of the best golf playing tournaments in Tahoe's history, I would think, just based on the availability to get out there and work on your game.
Dan, if there are no fans, I guess Sean Payton won't have a boat to hit off of, a deck. Sean Payton can't hit off anybody's deck this time. You won't have that as a backstop on that par 3.
That's right. It's going to be odd, but I'm glad that they're doing it, and all the proceeds are going to go to charities and local charities. And NBC is certainly a big part of this tournament, of course, putting it on TV. So hopefully it's an exciting and another opportunity for people to watch something who haven't had much sports, until recently.
What'd you think of Brady and Peyton's game with Tiger and Phil? I mean, on national television. What'd you think of that one?
Yeah,
John.
But that's the thing most people don't understand is sitting at their couch. They're probably questioning Brady's handicap. I can promise you, until you've done something like that, until you know it's being broadcast, it's way different than hitting casual golf balls. So I completely understand where he and some of the guys who have never done that could get a little nervous. But then I saw him settle down there and a little bit in the back nine. And it's not that easy. I try telling people all the time, but being an armchair quarterback is much easier, and sitting at home watching Family Feud when you got all the answers. And it's a lot easier than being under the gun of a 5-second, give me your answer now, and you see some crazy answers. So
fantastic.
I wish everybody could have to push a button, whatever they think is easy, and somehow be morphed into doing it, and they'll see it's not.
John, I look forward to seeing you out there in Tahoe. I always enjoy our chats immensely. Thanks for the call. We'll chat soon.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You got it. Right back at you. That's John Smoltz. I would see pitchers versus quarterbacks.
Golf?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark Mulder.
He won before.
Won four in a row.
Right. And before Romo took it over.
Romo,
right.
Yeah.
And I think you could take the Braves staff from when it was Smoltz, Maddox, and Glavine.
Oh, yeah.
And put them up against 3 quarterbacks.
Like Romo, Rogers, and
Marino. Didn't Dan used to have a good game, too? He tried out for the U.S. Open one year.
Yep.
And I remember Marino saying when he didn't make the cut for the U.S. Open, saying that it's so tough mentally to focus on shot to shot. And this is a guy who has to focus pre-snap on who's coming to take his head off. That guy said he didn't have the focus. That's why I'm not good at golf. Because I go out there and I know.
That's why?
Well, yes. Well,
I mean, Rich.
Playing partners are out there, lining it up like they're, dangling their golf club, dangling their putter like the green jacket's on the line. And I'm standing there like, it's a beautiful day.
That was on the other night.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what a beautiful day. There's no clouds in the sky.
Now, Smoltz finished tied for 12th last year. Got off to a great start, was one back, 71.
Right.
He's really good.
Fell apart round 3, 81 to finish.
I did that one year. I played with Jason Taylor and Derek Brooks, and was so bad I haven't been invited back. Yes,
done one and done.
Yes, because he's right. When everybody's there and
they're shooting it,
and the gallery is standing there, and you know that you're.
If you shank one, it's gonna hit them.
I see dead people. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you're standing there. Your knees are knocking, and I just couldn't. I just went in a tank, and honestly, like instead of a 7-iron, it felt like I was using a shovel.
Yeah.
And I probably created so many ditches in that beautiful course. I haven't been invited back. I was one and done.
Our buddy Marty Fish came in third last year.
He's good. Oh. Marty Fish, as you know, got me
a travel bag.
A travel bag at the golf tournament we did with at the Red Cross here locally in Los Angeles.
That was last year.
Great chat with John Smoltz. Okay, we are back with more here on NBCSN. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. I'll just tell the story, real quick too. I didn't bring my own caddy either. Like I should have brought a buddy.
So you were like Happy Gilmore. You didn't know you needed
could bring.
a caddy.
No, you could.
Oh, you could bring someone to caddy with you.
Oh yes.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's cool.
I just went. So they gave me a caddy.
Who was it?
Who told me that he enjoyed, even the round, because I'm like, I literally was apologizing to the guy because when it's not for charity as it is this year, there's prize money at stake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I just told him, I'm like, I am so sorry that you have no chance. Like, as a matter of fact, you may have to give money back. Like, that's how bad I'm playing. Like
$600,000 purse.
And he told me, I don't care. He told me that it was so pleasurable just to have fun because of who he caddied for previously was such a miserable loop.
Uh-oh. You can't say.
A miserable loop.
Are you going to name names or can we guess?
He won't.
Yes. I'm more than happy to.
Yes. Do it.
Just take a guess which sport. Football.
Okay.
College football.
Oh, wow. All right.
College football.
College football.
A coach?
Coach.
I'm looking right at you.
Oh,
Brian Kelly?
No, Lou Holtz.
Lou Holtz.
I could see him being miserable. I could totally see him. I could 100% see him being a miserable guy. Yep.
I'm not confirming or denying a thing.
There's not even. I don't even not believe you.
I'm not confirming or denying. I'm not confirming. I didn't say a name. Did I say a name?
You did not say it.
Can you do the voice of the?
I'm not. I can't. I can't do the voice.
All right. So if you want to go pitchers versus quarterbacks based on last year's standings,
yes,
it would be really close. So quarterbacks, Romo came in first. Case Keenum came in sixth. Carson Palmer was tied for 12th. Oof. And Trent Dilfer was.
Oh, Dilfer's really good.
Was 20th.
Yeah. Trent's really good.
Was 20th. So there's a foursome. And if you want to go pitchers, Mark Mulder came in second. Derek Lowe came in third.
Derek Lowe.
Smoltz was 12th. And a little further down, Tim Wakefield was 22nd.
Wakefield.
So that is a pretty good evenly matched.
Yeah, pitchers, catchers.
Evenly matched foursomes.
Huh. All right, we'll be back here in a second. Eight 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Great chat with John Smoltz. I remember the first time I met John. He won't remember, I don't think. Well, he might actually.
Did you Mattingly him? Yeah.
No, I've told this story before. I'll tell it again. I was working on SportsCenter at ESPN, and I was the studio voice of ESPN Radio's coverage of Major League Baseball. I was the first voice that, when it launched. Man, I launched NFL Network. I launched ESPN radio coverage of Major League Baseball. I launched this show. I'm a launcher.
Look at you.
I'm like Elon Musk without, the commas. And the Bitcoin. By the way, that's who I am. I'm best dad ever and Bitcoinless Musk. That's the name of my cologne. Bitcoinless Musk.
Next to the Drakkar.
What an aroma.
And Calvin Klein.
Pretty good.
Bitcoinless Musk and Drakkar and Calvin Klein.
I went from Drakkar Noir in high school to Bitcoinless Musk as a 51-year-old.
I can never say that word. I can now.
But I remember, and this is interesting because it does involve an odor. I went down for SportsCenter to interview the big three of the Braves. when they were at Shea Stadium.
Yeah, they were teams.
And I interviewed Glavin, Smoltz, and Maddox, and Bobby Cox. Yeah. All four of them were lined up to be interviewed. And we get there, and the chairs are lined up, are sitting on either side of home plate. Jay Horowitz, the great Mets PR man for all those many years, showed us to where they had set us up with these chairs. And the producer of the piece, who was with me, told Jay, this is not acceptable. And Jay's like, why? And she points up to the sky, and, the plane's taking off from LaGuardia every 2 seconds. You can't hear, like, Maddox could be basically saying Mets suck, and we don't have the sound. Smoltz could be giving us the entirety of his magic, and we can't hear it because there's a what was at the time? Trump air might have been in the air at the time. I don't know. In the late 90s. Anyway, the producer was my future wife, Susie Schefter, and she told them, God bless her, you got to find us another place. Problem was, I believe the old Jets locker room, where normally this would be, where they would have this, Shea Stadium. I mean, you want to talk about an old spot. Good Lord. It was being occupied, I do believe, this could be a fake memory, but it was occupied. I do believe it was getting ready for Todd Hundley's retirement announcement. If you want to go way back in the day.
Todd Hundley.
So we couldn't use that. They found us a room that had on the door a sign that said glaucoma testing. So who knew? I guess when Ed Kranepool needed to have his eyes checked, Frank Traveris and Tom Seaver needed to have their eyes checked. Pat Zachary needed to read the top line. That's where the room took place. And apparently it had not been used since. Hold on, I'll go one more. Did I say Doug Flynn? John Milner? Did I say
Milner.
That?
Oh my God.
John Milner hadn't been used since John Milner.
Ralph Kiner.
Or soon to retire Mickey Lolich. That was the last time they used it. You open the door, and as you know, all New York sports fans know, there's cats everywhere.
Oh, every stadium.
There were cats in this room, and it stunk. It stunk because they were going to the bathroom in there.
Yeah.
So Susie found an oscillating fan and some Glade to try and that's not going to mask anything. It just made it now, cat pee scented Glade, and into that room
you interviewed
walked Glavin, Smoltz, Maddox, and Cox.
Did they say anything about the room?
Of course they did.
Like,
Each one of them scrunched their nose like, what's going on here? Oh, that's the way I met John Smoltz.
All right, good memory.
How do you forget it?
He's got to remember that.
I don't know.
Right?
I just don't want to go down that. Hey, do you remember when we first met, when I interviewed you, and the smell of cat pee and stink?
Those
remember
old
that?
Stadiums kind of, when they got old, they just had
I'm telling you, Shea Stadium. I remember standing underneath the Shea Stadium. There was only one way in, underneath, behind home plate.
Yeah.
When Bernie Williams caught the final out of the 2000 World Series, the Subway Series, I looked up and it was just you just saw dust and
because it would
webs and whatever. Oh my God!
The Vet. I did the last NFC Championship in the Vet in Philly. Oh.
Did you go to the courthouse underneath there?
I actually did.
Did you really?
I did.
You were not brought there, were you?
No. I was working it. Come on. I mean, but still, they had a courthouse, and there was a line of people going in.
By the way, how about him basically saying, "Come on, Rich, that's so out of the realm. This is a guy. Why did you get kicked off the police force?" In New Jersey. Why'd you get kicked off the police force in New Jersey?
Underage drinking.
And what'd you do to the car?
I didn't crash No. I crashed my own car, but I did crash a police car.
Go.
So, yes.
All right.
But that was one of the offenses. That was one of the many.
Your history, Mike.
I mean, Mike, that was 35 years ago. You can talk about it.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, the statute of limitations is up.
But I mean,
so please, I wasn't brought in the
You
courthouse.
can talk about
crashing the car.
So you went there just to sit there as a member of?
No, I wanted to see what it looked like because everyone's like, they have a courtroom. They have a courtroom. I'm like, what do you mean? So we're like sitting during the game because of course I did the pregame.
Right.
Walk down. They show me first of all the elevator in the old Vet that took you from where the trucks parked to where the actual it was. when I tell you the scariest elevator I've ever been in my life.
No, I'm sure.
Because I didn't think we were going to make it. Like the elevator sounded like.
Yeah, right. I mean, I think Norm Van Brocklin was the one who created the shaft.
Wilford Brimley probably at 1 year old.
We got some references today, man.
Wilford Brimley wrote it when he was
Harold, the Harold Carmichael elevator.
But the courtroom was packed with people.
Oh, my gosh.
They were just, it was unbelievable.
Let's take a quick phone call here. Donovan in the state of Florida. I hope you're healthy, Donovan.
Yes, sir, I am. Thanks for calling.
Good to
I'm
hear.
a big fan of your, Rich.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Just got a question, or actually a comment towards the Miami Dolphins. I just don't think that Brian Flores and what they did last year and how the national media kind of, put a sour taste and said the organization is not trying, and basically what he did with that team and taking them where they went to. And basically, for the future of the Miami Dolphins, man, it's very bright. I know you're a Jets fan and all.
No. I agree with you, Donovan. Look, man, I think Flores has gotten some considerable due, and what they did to New England in Week 17 led to the immediate exit of Tom Brady and the Patriots because they lost their bye week, and I think what they did was impressive. But the organization trading away your left tackle, a wide receiver, your stud secondary, I guess fort holder in Fitzpatrick. They were trying to make sure they got Tua, and Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brian Flores were the worst quarterback coach combination in the history of tanking. And I think they deserve the credit. Donovan, I got to run. I appreciate the call. I mean, that's a fact. Despite all that, I think we're about to remove the Dolphins from our poll question and put the 49ers in. You know what? Actually, keep it the way you want. I'll choose the 49ers to have the best offseason in the NFL. We'll ask Adam Schefter. Look at that headshot. Look at Schefter.
Look at that.
By the way, he hasn't had a haircut, I think, in months. We'll chat with him coming up. Since you are an award winner, you are as good as they come, man. You are, Trace. Don't worry. You're so humble. Let me talk about that.
Well,
listen. We figured we wrote the lyrics out. We wrote his soliloquy out for you, right? Do we have the lyrics there?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
You got it right there. Trace Atkins, everyone, on the Rich Eisen Show, doing Nick Saban's How Did We Get Here?
I guess I just want to know how we got here. Not to offend anybody out there, but I just walked by some jeans, wore out jeans with holes in them, all cut up. I just remember when I was a kid in West Virginia, I was ashamed to go to school because my jeans were wore out. Only because we didn't have any better. Now they buy them that way, and I just want to know, how did we get here? Tell me, how did we get here? Don't understand these kids these days. Guess I never will. Somebody please tell me. How did we get here? People, how did we get here? Is that... You know what?
All right.
My manager just a few minutes ago showed me the new laminate that we have for our tour this year. Because we didn't know what we were going to call this tour this year. So I hope there's no copyright infringement. My tour this year is going to be the How Did We Get Here tour.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo, what's up, peoples?
What's up? The Yankees win.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
I hope.
I think all of sports this year have a giant asterisk, and we just need to take it for what it is. This is a way to kind of bring the country back together.
The Rich Eisen Show. Earlier on the show, Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz. Still to come, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter. Actor Rob Lowe. Plus, comedian George Lopez. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Oh, Mikey. Oh, Mike. Pulling it a little left here. All right. Hey, everybody. Hour number 2 of the Rich Eisen Show are on the air. Adam Schefter calling in a matter of moments here. Rob Lowe and George Lopez in our third hour. Great chat with John Smoltz, Baseball Hall of Famer. In our first hour, talking about the Major League season coming up and also playing some golf in Tahoe. Looks like he's ready to take Romo down. Coming up in a couple of weeks. Chris Brockman, Mike Del Tufo, good to see you over there.
Cannot wait to watch that in a few weeks.
Fantastic. So we're going to get Adam Schefter on the phone in a second. Unpack the poll question for those who are joining us now at the top of our second hour on NBCSN and more.
We're going to talk about NFL offseason. Who's the big winner so far? Who's won the NFL offseason? Rex Ryan, not eligible. So here are 4 choices. I went Bills, Bucs, Cardinals, Dolphins.
Okay. And where do things stand?
All right. So I just put it up. So it's early results, 46% Bucs, 20% Bills and Cardinals, 13% Dolphins.
And I said in the first hour that it's the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, I mean, you passionately made your case.
I said San Francisco 49ers because, yes, the GOAT is there, LFG, indeed. I went the 49ers because they made the Super Bowl and they were 6 minutes from winning and they improved. So all the other teams that did the improving went from here to here, and the 49ers, I think, went from here to there because some of these people that got here might not even have gotten to where the 49ers were. We don't know if they're going to make the Super Bowl. They made the Super Bowl. The 49ers didn't lose anybody from the staff. Whoever they lost, they replaced either in the draft with some studs or they signed their people. I like it. I pound the table. We can ask our next guest, who I've known for a very long time. And this is why one of the many reasons why I love him. And I love having him on because you could see here, I got this on Father's Day, best dad ever. And I've apologized to all the other dads. But this gentleman, if anybody's going to give me a run for my money, I mean, he wrote a beautiful book about his relationship with his wife and their children. And he's given his daughter opportunities in the television business that few people have.
True.
I want to talk about best dad ever possibility. It's my friend from ESPN, Adam Schefter. How are you, Schefty?
From one great dad to another, Rich. Happy Father's Day, happy birthday, happy everything.
Right back at you. Right back at you. How you doing?
Groundhog Day, Rich. Never thought we'd celebrate over the course of a full year, but that's what we're doing.
You're hearing I got you, babe, every day, waking up and going about your business, pretty much. That's what you're saying.
It's really amazing. Like, there's nothing on the calendar in the summer, and I have no idea, if there's anything to look forward to at all other than training camp opening.
Yes. We'll get to that.
There's no weekend trips. There's no outings planned. There's no concerts, no sporting, no nothing.
Well, now, hold on a second. And the no nothing, I think, includes haircuts. When was the last time you got your haircut, Adam?
Well, it's funny you should say that, Rich.
Okay.
Because what happened was, obviously, the last time I got my haircut, you can remember these things, and I keep a journal which helps me along the process, but I got my haircut on Friday, March 13th, leading into free agency.
Okay.
That was the last time that I got a full cut. Now, during the pandemic, when we were sheltering in place, my son pulled out a razor and would shave my sides.
Okay.
And that was about the extent of my haircuts for 3 months until Father's Day on Sunday, when it also happened to be my son's 20th birthday.
Okay.
And I took him for a haircut. We were the first people in a shop that opened in New York. It was like phase 3. They had just begun allowing people in a few days earlier. We still didn't know whether we felt comfortable doing it. We went, and I got my hair. I decided because my hair grew longer, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it long. I got to cut in the sides. And so I was doing a hit on ESPN on Monday. One of my producers texted me, like, when are you getting that haircut from? I'm like, I got it yesterday. So they didn't even know that I got my haircut. So it still looks a little bit longer and bushy and unkempt, and certainly not the way that I've worn it. But you know what?
Yes.
I don't really care, Rich.
You know,
so
Adam, because if you're going to keep letting it go long and have your son only shave the sides, there could be some Mike Gundy coming your way. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, Rich, listen, if it means growing a mullet in the back, that's what it means, right? What am I going to say? If I've got enough hair to grow a mullet, I'm going to grow it.
There you go. Adam Schefter, business in front, party in the back, here on the Rich Eisen Show right now. All right, let's get into it, Adam. I'm sure you're asked. You might be the one recipient of this question, leading the entire nation, other than I guess Roger Goodell. Is there going to be football in 2020? What do you, not to turn you into an epidemiologist or anything, but what are you hearing and sensing right now?
Rich, I would say that it depends on who you ask, right?
Okay.
And I think that my answer to that question would be when I speak to people on teams, they're nervous, they're uneasy, they're anxious, they're concerned. When I speak to other people who are near the top of the NFL food chain, they are convinced that there's going to be football. Now, again, all that tells me is that the league is determined to get this season in, to get the 16 games in, all those things like that. Whether that can actually happen during the course of the year without outbreaks of the virus, no one can predict, right? They're going to try to pull off something that I think Sean McVay himself has said, when we are asked to social distance and not be in close proximity to one another and not breathe on one another. Like, this sport goes against everything that we are being told to do in society today. And so can they get through that? I'm not smart enough scientifically, medically to predict that. I can tell you that there are people on teams that are anxious and concerned, and there are people in and around the league that are convinced that they're going to have football this season. Convinced, like not even a hesitation. Oh, yeah, there's football. Like one guy texted me last week when the Fauci news came out where he said, I don't know if the NFL could get this done this season without a bubble. And this particular individual texted me, there will be football this year without any hesitation. And so you believe what you want from that, but that is how I read it. Concern, anxiety, nerves, but a belief going in that they're going to do everything they can and will to pull it off.
What about any players that you might have come across? Because, you heard, I'm sure, Malcolm Jenkins, what he said on CNN as he's been hired. He's been hired there as an analyst, calling it a non-essential business. And for him to come, he needs to be assured best he can. And I know that the league mentioned yesterday through their chief medical officer, Dr. Alan Sills, that there's going to be an aggressive testing regimen. What are you hearing from players right now, Adam?
Well, what's interesting to me there, Rich, is that a few weeks back I had James Conner on my podcast, and you would think that if anybody would be concerned, it would be him. He has a pre-existing medical condition. You would think somebody like that would be alarmed. And I can only infer that his feelings are representative of most players' feelings. Not all, but many. And when I asked him if he was concerned at all, he acted like, what is there to be concerned about? No, I'm playing football. No issues. And I thought that was interesting because if, like I said, anybody had any reason to be uneasy, it would be him, and he didn't have the slightest bit of hesitation. So if James Conner feels that way, that tells me that the majority of players feel that way. Again, there are going to be cases like Malcolm Jenkins, and there are going to be people who are concerned and nervous. My wife is a type 1 diabetic. We live every day highly aware of everything that we're doing, everywhere we're going, and trying to make sure we do the best job we can to not go anywhere, mask up when we do the right thing. And what's amazing to me is to hear the various viewpoints in our country. Some of them blow me away. I just can't believe that some people would be so defiant to not wear a mask. Everybody gets to do what they want, free country, but it's, to me, just a basic human consideration of your fellow man And why somebody would not do that to me is unbelievable.
+1, Adam. I fully agree, and for fans of the NFL or sports in general who say, "Screw it, I'm not wearing a mask." You know, I don't believe what the science shows. Well, if you're not masking up, guess what? There's a chance there's no NFL. I mean, that's a fact. There's a chance that there's no sports
here's
because
a fact,
of it.
Rich. If everybody masks up, the virus doesn't go anywhere. If the virus doesn't go anywhere, we get to have sports and school and activities and all the things we want.
Right.
So why would you not mask up? Like, it's just it's amazing to me. Like, I just can't understand it. And again, I guess, and we're seeing it now, right? Like, I live in New York, and we went through 3 very difficult months. And now we're seeing cases spike where there really weren't cases and instances before. So these people who doubted the virus, didn't believe in the virus. Like, I was talking to somebody yesterday who was at my house, an electrician. He came to work on some things with, well, anyway, some issues. Anyway,
yes.
He said to me, it's a media creation. Now, I don't know what to say to that. Like, I don't believe that's right. But that's what he and many others believe, that it's a media creation, which, again, I hear that and I go, oh okay. Even if you think it's a media creation, then why would you not wear a mask? Like, he wasn't wearing a mask, you know.
And it's his job to put a light bulb over somebody's head too. You'd think it would go off.
Well,
you know, I mean, you know, Adam, I don't understand it. It is something that this country is grappling with. All we need to see is how our country's dealing with it and other countries that have gotten through it.
Yeah,
and,
but by the way, Rich, right there, okay, that's a great example. There are some countries where basically the virus seems to be going away, if not gone. Correct? Some countries have done a great job masking up, sheltering in place, doing what's asked of them. I'm not getting political. This has nothing to do with – this is basic human decency, basic common sense. Why is it that some countries, the virus is just whittled away to where it's essentially a non-factor, yet in our country we have the highest amount of coronavirus cases that we've had since this virus began spreading?
And here we are towards the end of June, about a month away from when NFL training camps are supposed to open. A couple more minutes left with Adam Schefter here on the Rich Eisen Show. Let's get into, I guess, a couple of football items. The Jamal Adams situation. Your thoughts on? I think it's much ado about nothing because the Jets have 2 years of contractual control. It's a lot of wishful thinking on the part of a player who I adore and think is terrific. How do you think this plays out, Adam?
It's been a one-way street, Rich. Now, again, all the noise has been coming from the Jamal Adams side, that he wants to trade. Here are the teams, and that's great. And we all can agree the guy is a tremendous player. He's an unbelievable player, one of the best young players in the National Football League. But just because he wants to be traded doesn't mean that the Jets are going to oblige him. And the Jets, in this particular case, the CBA is set up to where players are at a disadvantage in trying to force a trade like that. Like, if he doesn't report to camp on time, he loses this as an accrued season. He's one season further away from free agency. And he can say, well, I'm not playing for the Jets. Well, then they could just sit on him. And if that's the case, the Jets probably win the standoff in the end. So, to me, in any of these cases, the two sides have to work together to figure it out, whatever it is to make each other happy. The system is weighted in favor of the team. The player has a lot to overcome. But I will say that in recent seasons, we've seen the players seize more and more control, more and more power, and enforce that. Just see Khalil Mack, Jalen Ramsey, many of the others that have forced their way out of town with a trade, and maybe that is the Jamal Adams strategy. But the Jets are not just going to go peacefully, and I know I continue to be stopped, and just as often as I'm asked in football, where's Jamal Adams being traded? Like, I don't know that he's being traded. Like, it's going to be up to some other team to really step forward and the Jets to be convinced that they would trade him. And I don't know how many teams that are out there that would be willing to mortgage the farm and then pay the player and then do all those things. You could say, well, Jamal Adams would defer. He wouldn't have to do the contract right away. No, that is correct. But eventually, A year from now, he's going to want to be paid, and you're going to have to pay him like that. So, again, it's great to talk about. It creates great fodder. You can ask about it. We can discuss it. But the fact of the matter is, to me, up to date, as great a player as he is, it's been a one-way street.
And now Dak has signed his tender, Adam. We all know it's a deadline league. That deadline is July 15th. Any chance it gets complicated for the Cowboys and Dak, or definitely for the Cowboys, by a Deshaun Watson or even Patrick Mahomes signing that makes this even more difficult for Dallas?
I think that's one of those cases where that's already been factored into the equation.
Okay.
And so the situation to me is complicated and it is complex. And Dak Prescott, if he's willing to bet on himself, and so far he has been, can play this out and see it through to where, to me, he puts himself in position to get a incredible contract. Like, if he just wants to go year to year right now, wow. And that's tough on the Cowboys because then you could be walking away or leaving, parting ways with your quarterback at any given moment in any given year, and good luck trying to find another quarterback. That's a tough thing to do. And so I will not be surprised if the two sides can't figure out a deal. I think Dallas, in my mind, it's easy for me to say this, but I think if Dallas wants the guy long-term, wants to avoid it, they might be best served going down to the 4 years that Dak wants as opposed to the 5 that they want. I know they want 5, but in this particular case, isn't it worth reducing it 1 year to make sure that you've got the guy? Because if not, I don't think he's going to sign. If he's not signing, that means they got to franchise him next year at $37.7. If they can't get a deal done then, the franchise tag the next year is $54 million. And so Dak Prescott is that close to becoming a true unrestricted free agent at the age of 26, 27 years old. And there aren't many quarterbacks entering the prime of their career at that position who enter the free agent market. Kirk Cousins did it and had his whole contract guaranteed. You could just imagine what would be at stake if Dak Prescott could get himself to the market.
Before we send Adam into his Friday, ask him the poll question, Christopher.
All right, Adam, who is the winner of the Rex Ryan Annual winner of the NFL Offseason Award? Bills, Bucs, Cardinals, Dolphins.
Bucs. I mean, that's easy. You get Tom Brady, you get the greatest quarterback of all time, you automatically win the award. It's like Steve Kerr and Judd Bushler driving to the stadium after Michael Jordan returned from playing baseball, as you said in one of those movies about Michael Jordan. And one of the players asked the other one, you think that Michael Jordan will start tonight? And the other one said, generally speaking, if there's a statue of you outside the stadium, you start. And I think it's true with Tom Brady.
Nice.
Generally speaking, if you sign Tom Brady during an offseason, you get that Rex Ryan offseason award.
Well, I didn't even include I said the 49ers, Adam. I love what they did for sending DeForest Buckner for a first round of
He's a great player.
I know, but they draft Kinlaw, they signed Armstead, they signed Jimmy Ward, they signed Kyle Shanahan, they drafted Ayuk, and they were 6 minutes from winning the Super Bowl. You know, Brady and Gronk, and obviously re-signing Pierre-Paul and re-signing Sue and tagging Barrett. I mean, just to name a few. And then their draft is excellent too. They didn't make the Super Bowl last year. We still don't know. That's my point on that front.
Again, I think the Bucs win the offseason. The 49ers had a really impressive offseason and did a lot of things that they wanted to do. You didn't even mention Trent Williams, by the way.
That's true. I did earlier. Trent Williams, right? I mean, the whole league wanted him. The whole league wanted him.
Great player.
Adam.
Great player. And you put him in that offense, the way they run the football. Ooh.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. All right, Adam. Love you, brother.
Love you, Rich.
Right back
nice
at
talking to you. Happy belated birthday, Father's Day, Groundhog Day, everything.
Right back at you. You take care, Adam. That's Adam Schefter. Only thing bigger than his knowledge and information is his heart. That is a real fact. Look, you see Del Tufo's like saying a Jewish goodbye to him right now. Are you having a Jewish goodbye with him? Put him back on real quick.
Oh, hang on.
Adam, are you having a Jewish goodbye with Del Tufo right here?
Yeah.
I love it.
You go way back.
You go way back.
I mean, Adam, I told you the story. I was saying it to Brockman. The first time Adam met me at the Hall of Fame, he comes up to me thinking I'm like a producer or something important at the NFL.
Definitely not important.
And he's like shaking my hand. He goes, "Nice to meet you," whatever. And I'm like, Adam, I just do the audio.
Do you remember this, Adam?
I kind of do, Rich.
Exactly. And I was like,
well, he's got also like you probably put it in a journal and made notes about it like 10 seconds later. That's what Adam does.
Because he thought I was like important. I'm like, I'm just the audio guy. I'm not that important.
But you always were important. I don't care what you were doing.
I know. I love Adam. Adam's one of the best.
You are.
I mean that.
All right. Now, okay.
Adam,
say goodbye.
Thanks,
now it's a Jewish goodbye with 2 Jews and an Italian guy.
Exactly.
Okay. Take care, Adam. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
There's Adam Schefter. There's a Jewish goodbye right there.
All done.
By the way, he takes notes on everything. He writes a journal. Yeah. I mean, he's a reporter of his own information, his own life. He is truly one of the most unique individuals I have ever met.
And he's really good. I mean, he's such a great guy.
And I remember when I was driving around looking for my first job in television, driving around New York State and getting doors slammed in my face. And I was hoping to do the job that I'm doing today. And I did meet Adam down the road at NFL Network again. I remember, I'll share with you, I remember sitting in a hotel room by myself, age 24, 25, wondering how I was going to get into the television business. And I turned on SportsCenter, and there was Adam as a talking head on a piece about the Broncos, as I think he was writing for the Rocky Mountain News at the time. And I thought to myself, man, I went to college with him. Look at where he is right now. I don't know if I'm going to get to that spot. And I just knew I was going to have at least a better days, try to be optimistic about it. Yeah. And I knew the next day I was having an informational interview at ESPN with Keith Olbermann, and maybe something would come of that, and the next day would be a better day. And that was the day that I watched Cordell Stewart throw 170 yards to bring everything that I've discussed on the show over the last few weeks full circle.
Denver Post for Adam.
Denver Post at the time? I forgot. He went from one paper to the other. Yeah. Tomorrow's going to be a great day. I'm going to be at ESPN where I want to be, which, by the way, thank God I was there 2 years later. Oh, yeah. Your phone calls at 844-204-RICH. The next segment is for you, right here on The Rich Eisen Show, that you can listen to on demand every day at Podcast One.
You're right. He worked for both papers.
He did.
Rocky Mountain News, September 90 to July 96, and then joined the Denver Post.
There he was. Yeah.
He came from us from Denver.
And that's why he knew everything about the Broncos. That's why when we came on the air on Thursday Night Football on Thanksgiving of 2006, and he broke the news that Mike Shanahan, win or lose that night, doesn't matter if Jake Plummer was going to win that game that night in Kansas City, it was Jay Cutler's job the next week, because they were going to use the mini bye after that Thursday Night Football game on Thanksgiving. They were going to use that mini bye to get Jay Cutler up to speed. And that was the huge piece of news that Adam broke. And we're sitting in our trailer in the parking lot at Arrowhead getting ready for the broadcast. And in walked, sashayed is the only way to put it, Pat Bowlen, the longtime owner of the Denver Broncos and powerful member of the broadcast committee. Without his blessing, NFL Network never would have been born 3 years prior to this very moment, where he comes in and a cool, calm demeanor says, "Where's Adam Schefter?" And all of us looking around. We haven't seen Adam in a while. And I said to him, Mr. Bowlen, I haven't seen him in a while. I don't know where he is right now. He goes, well, when you find him, not if, when you find him, let him know I was looking for him.
And then what did Al Davis?
He scooped Pat Bowlen. Pat didn't know. It was obvious to me at that point in time that he had informed not only the masses, but the owner of the Denver Broncos himself. It dawned on me, and Steve Bornstein was right with him. Yeah, boss, hey, Richie boy, when you find out, I mean, I'm not saying he screwed up, but I mean,
great imitation of Steve.
And didn't Al Davis have something for Schefter too?
Yeah. My gosh, how much time we were back on that front? 1 minute. There's not enough time. I'll save it for the NBCSN audience. That'll be in about because I can't tell the story. This is not a minute-long story.
Right.
It's worthy of the time, though. I just want to make sure that my best dad ever sign is still ticker friendly on NBCSN. I know I'm moving it around.
Yeah, you're good, Rich.
So I'm
I can
sorry
tell.
if I'm
I
doing
can
it.
look here.
You can see,
and I can see.
You can see it's
So
fine.
I'm looking, yep.
Okay,
Good.
very good. You're a ticker friendly audio executive, Mike.
I try. Yeah, I try.
Never thought I'd refer to you as such, but it's true. 844-204-RICH. We'll take your phone calls in a second. Was just strolling down memory lane in our YouTube stream commercial break on NBCSN about Adam Schefter scooping the entire NFL world in the first NFL Network Thursday night football game that we ever aired. It was on Thanksgiving. The first Thursday night football season on NFL Network in 2006 was not the full season as it is now on Fox and NFL Network and Amazon, or when it was on NBC for the years that it was on, or on CBS. It was just a run up to the playoffs. It was from Thanksgiving all the way through to the end, and there were Thursday to Saturday double dips too, where you'd go from Thursday, we would then travel to the game afterwards, and Friday for the Saturday contest. But the first game was a Thursday night football game and Thanksgiving night in Arrowhead in 2006, and Adam Schefter scooped everybody with the news that no matter what Jake Plummer was going to do, win or lose that night, and they did lose, that Jay Cutler was going to start his first game as a Denver Bronco. This is way before the chicken stuff on Instagram. And
take care of y'all chicken.
Yeah, by the way, I held that drop. I held that drop. Gotta get that drop for Jay Cutler's Instagram stories.
I just held that drop. I was waiting for the right time.
Take care of y'all chicken, Jay.
This would have been week 11 of 06.
Well, he and Pat Bowlen came to our trailer, green room trailer in the parking lot of Arrowhead looking for Adam, and it became apparent to all of us that he had scooped even the powerful owner of the Denver Broncos on that front. And then you asked me, didn't he have a run-in with Al Davis?
Yeah, he had something with Al Davis, right?
Well,
if I'm not mistaken.
Allow me to tell this story, which I don't believe I've ever brought to the NBCSN audience. So it was a Thursday, Saturday later on that year, I believe, where he had mentioned in Green Bay, prior to the game, in Green Bay, prior to us going to Oakland in the black hole against the Chiefs too, that no matter what, by the way, that's amazing, no matter what, like this is the whole Jerry Krause, no matter what Art Shell was going to do, win or lose as head coach of the Raiders, that Shell was going to be replaced and fired at the end of the season. And Al Davis saw this report on NFL Network and blasted out an all caps press release that was from the Raiders, but it should have just said dictated and read by Al Davis. It was absolutely take this down to whomever was typing out the release. And called Adam Schefter a false rumor mongerer.
Oh,
not a monger, a mongerer, which is, I don't believe, a word. Called him a false rumor mongerer, and the last line was something to the effect of, there's only one person in the world who knows whether this is true, and that person does not speak to Adam or doesn't know Adam. Something along those lines. So Schefter was not supposed to make the trip from Green Bay to Oakland because it was his 40th birthday. And I think he had just met or was just beginning to date his current wife, and he had made plans to be with her on his birthday. And however, after this report and Al Davis turning the pressure, if you will, up to Spinal Tap 11, Adam earned a trip to Oakland, had to go to Oakland for the back end of the double dip. But the whole deal was Adam would do just the pregame. He wouldn't stay for halftime and the postgame because he wanted to go home and be with who he wanted to be with for his 40th birthday. So Adam was definitely, how do we put it, just concerned going to this game because he was public enemy number one in the eyes of Raiders fans as Al Davis did what he did. So Adam was concerned going to the game. Just, he's going to stand there in front of the black hole. He was a little bit on edge. Let's just put it that way. But because he was not staying for halftime and the postgame, he took his own separate car to the game.
Okay.
Because he had to return his rental car at the airport.
Right.
So the car was me in the front, me, Mooch, Deion, Marshall Faulk in car 1, and Adam was following us, driving himself in car 2.
Okay.
We pull up to the gate at Oakland, the Coliseum, and as always, honestly, the most famous person I've ever traveled with is Deion Sanders. The only person who's a close second is Chris Berman in my career. So as soon as we roll the window down to say we're here from NFL Network, the person who's wearing the yellow security slicker recognizes Deion and she just wants to talk to him and and so Deion says to her, "Can you do us a favor? When we pull through, there's a car following us that's expecting to be put through. Can you stop him?"
Oh, geez.
And tell him that no mongerers are allowed here today.
Fantastic.
It took her a couple of times, because again, it's not a word.
No,
it took her a couple of times for Deion to coach her on, it's not monger, it's mongerer. Don't forget the mongerer. So we pull through and immediately tell the driver, stop. All of us turn around, look out the back window to watch this go down.
I would love to have that car.
I mean, poor Schefter, man.
And Adam was stopped. The look on his face was fantastic.
Like, what?
Just a sheer few seconds, because she did, I guess out of just her good nature, could not continue the gag for longer than she felt comfortable doing it. Oh, my gosh. And then, it was our first game in the black hole, and our stage was right there in the audience. I mean, right there in the crowd, right there. And Deion, again, most famous person I've traveled with. It's honestly, everybody, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter, name any demographic. Everybody knows Deion. So Deion is getting the business. I'll tell this part of the story just to put a button on it. We'll take some calls. Deion is getting the business from somebody in the stands. The business. I mean, screaming at him for the 2-hour pregame, screaming at him for the first half of the game. And, it's Deion's a former baseball player as well. And so he hears it. He's got rabbit ears, but he's not going to pay this guy any attention. We turn to him right before halftime. We're like, Deion, do you hear this person this entire, like what are we going to do here? This person just can't stop screaming at him.
Right.
And he goes, oh, I hear him. So I'm hosting the first segment of the 2-segment halftime show, and Deion has a piece of paper, and it looks like he's doodling the entire time because his arms are like making this large movement on a piece of paper. And I turn to him in the commercial break. I'm like, Deion, what are you doing? And he goes, watch this. Takes the piece of paper that he was doodling on, folds it in half, hands it to Bardia Shireas, who is now with Fox Sports, an Emmy Award-winning producer in his own right, but he was the stage producer at the time. And he gave it to Bardia and told him to pass it up the black hole to the guy that had been screaming at him literally for 3 hours straight during the game.
I mean, it's the whole thing.
So now the guy who has been screaming invective at Deion this entire time was elated, turned on a dime, elated to receive an actual personal missive from the great Deion Sanders. Opens it up, reads it, turns to Deion, and screams more unmentionables I can't have, even louder and more furiously at Deion.
It was crazy.
We turn to him like, what'd you write him? He goes, I wrote him, yo, mama.
I remember this.
Yo, mama.
That dude better have that note framed.
And that's the story of the monger in Oakland and
like
Al Davis
the whole
time.
And you could hear everything he was saying.
Through our mics.
Yeah, through the mics.
He's loud. It's crazy.
Chris, he's like, from me to you. From Deion.
Oh, my God. That was amazing. Yo, mama.
That's so good.
Okay, let's take some phone calls here on the Rich Eisen Show. Oh, this is fun. Michael in Arkansas is back here on the program. What's up, Michael?
Hey, Rich, what's going on?
What's on your mind, Michael? I kind of figured it out, but you have the floor.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate it. And, this is for Chris. Chris, I did write you to your email, but you didn't return it.
Oh, my bad. Very busy.
No, that's okay.
By the way,
that's okay.
That's not an act. That my bad did not sound like. Could you do it a little better for Michael with your my bad, Chris?
Yeah, that's my bad, man. I got a 4-month-old at home.
Okay,
like
that's better.
sleep
Just at least give him that.
Is all screwed up.
No, you know what? I hear you, and I hear what you're saying. But here's the terms that I thought you might go with. Maybe on our bet. New England will not go to a Super Bowl for the next 10 years. And every year they don't, I'll make my way down to the show. Beyond the show, you have to wear a Pittsburgh Steelers jersey the whole time on the show.
Michael, I don't know if that's, So
like in 10 years, I'll have to pay this off by wearing a Steelers jersey?
No, just every year you don't go to a Super Bowl. Now, you're so confident. You're so confident that New England's going to go to a bowl. But now here's the other half. If you do go to a Super Bowl, and every Super Bowl that you do go to, I'll buy $500 worth of child's clothes and formula. And also, you can shave my head, and I'll wear a New England shirt while you're shaving my head.
Wow. That's
This is intense. This is intense. Now, look, now, Michael, you understand that going to the Super Bowl is very hard.
It's very difficult.
Like, Rich has never seen a Jets Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And he's
totally
51.
Understand.
I think I was Cage's age, actually, when Joe Namath took down the Colts. Tough guy.
And
Technically,
Chris,
I might have seen it. I don't remember.
Now, Chris and I are used to going to the Super Bowls. We both have 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's commonplace, Mike. You know what I mean? It's just something we just expect to happen.
Poor Rich being a Jet fan, hey, welcome. I hope you're having a good time with Bell. No,
I think we can work on the terms.
Yeah,
Michael.
I just think, Michael,
rookie quarterback.
Let's workshop it. Send Brockman another email that he's going to pay mind to.
Send me a DM. I will get back to you.
Okay, send him a DM at Brock Shady, right? Or at Chris Brockman?
Yeah, at Chris Brockman.
Okay, very good. That's Michael in Arkansas.
I
Thank you for the call, Michael. All right, I need reinforcements here. Eric in Florida, you're on the Rich Eisen Show. Line 1, Mikey. What's up, Eric?
Rich, I love your show.
Thank you.
Because you guys don't take yourself so seriously. In these tough times, you make us laugh.
Thanks.
And I really appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I am a Jet fan since 1960. I'm 68 years old. Now, the other side of the coin with Jamal Adams is Joe Douglas, who grew up in the Ozzie Newsome School of General Managing, which means zero minus emotion. Like Yul Brynner told Steve McQueen in The Magnificent Seven, it's just wind. He's going to report to camp. C.J. Mosley and Steve McClendon are going to have a little talk with that man, and the Jet defense is going to rock this year.
I love this positivity. I love it. Where's the trapdoor opening, though? Where's it coming? Because you're a Jet fan since 1960. You know it's forming. What is it? Sam Darnold gets rickets? What do you think?
No.
Scurvy?
Here's the thing, Rich.
He hasn't eaten any fruit during the pandemic. He's going to get scurvy?
Cholera.
Nobody likes the Jets this year. I happen to love what they've done with their wide receivers.
Really?
I love what they've done with it. Brashad Perriman is going to be an absolute monster. They have done a good job with their offensive line.
Okay.
Sam's going to come into it this year. When the Jets, people think they're not going to be good at all, is when they have a good year. Furthermore,
yes,
since you don't recall the Super Bowl, obviously your best Jets win is when we went to New England and beat those boys 28-21, and Sean Ellis destroyed the Patriots' offensive line.
Mic drop.
7 wins? 7 wins? You take the over on that this year?
He's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Oh, obviously he would, yeah. If he's saying
I'm
that
the
he
general
believes
manager of the New York Jets.
Oh, my God.
That's what he sounded like.
That's the Jets Vegas total, 7.
He should be.
Well, he would take the over on that. 8-8, right?
Patriots is 9.
But if the Jets had any, ability to win half a game and it would count in the standings, they do that. I can't believe that this guy from Arkansas calls in with a wild payoff, and your response is to fire shots in my direction as a Jet fan.
I'm just saying, every year they don't make it, I have to wear a Steelers jersey for the whole
crazy.
show.
And he comes on the show.
He gets to show up and just hang out.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect the moxie.
I mean, it's
you know.
Okay, we'll take a break here. We'll take more of your phone calls on the other side. 844-204-RICH. Number to dial on the Rich Eisen Show. Rob Lowe and George Lopez lurk on our rundown as well.
All right, can we talk about these win totals real quick?
Sure, I got to change my batteries.
Some of them are crazy. Like, the Jets have a higher projected win total than the Lions, Bengals.
Why would that surprise you?
Panthers.
Didn't they finish 7-6-2 last year? Didn't the Jets finish 6-2 last year?
Once Darnold came
The
back.
Giants.
I would take that.
I mean, only a half game better, worse than the Raiders, Chargers, Texans. Only at 7.5.
Chris, they finished 6-2 last year.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I'd give them that.
Wouldn't it be great if Darnold just shows up and just takes off and zoom here?
I like him a lot. I want him to be good. It stinks he plays for your team, but he has all the. Remember, Daniel Jeremiah had him the number 1 quarterback coming into that draft.
Let me tell you, man. Don Bowie's just saying that Darnold's been on. I haven't seen the World Championship cornhole.
Wait, he's playing in these things?
Cornhole contestants?
The real Sam Darnold?
Is there a disease you can get from tossing beanbags? Can you get that?
That's amazing.
He's doing cornhole?
Good for him.
Where's the Jets? Jets schedule, everybody. Jets schedule. Let me see. New York Jets schedule. Oh, this is great. At Buffalo, home for the 49ers, at Indianapolis. And then here comes Denver and Arizona, and you know what I feel about their quarterback.
0-5.
At the Chargers, home for Buffalo. At Kansas City, and then a Monday nighter home for New England. That's when Stid shows.
By the way, that's a tough schedule. I mean, I'm not trolling.
At Miami and in a bye. You got Miami on either side of the bye. Here come the Raiders for a change to New York just when there's no fans. Great. Normally the Jets are in Oakland, and it's just a disaster.
3 of the last 4 on the road to end the season.
There you go. Seattle.
Rams.
Home for Cleveland.
And of course, you'll spin it this way. By week 14, there'll be fans back in the 12. Exactly.
You know
and
what?
the Patriots will have played at Seattle with no fans.
Correct.
And then the Jets will go to Seattle, and there will be fans. And that's just the Jets' trapdoor, bad luck, whatever.
If it means that we have a vaccine, I'll take it. Can you put the Patriots schedule up, Don? Because I bet you December schedule for New England, they're home.
Oh, it's a joke. It's got to be a joke. Watch.
I bet you.
No. Split. 2 and 2. The last 2 are home. Buffalo and the Jets.
And Jets. Yeah, they're in Miami.
But 3 in a row on the road in December.
Yeah, when they hang out here in Los Angeles.
And Miami, all warm weather.
That's what I mean.
You want to cook for Bill when he's out here?
I will gladly entertain.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. I was going to take a lot of phone calls that last segment when I went down Storytime Lane with my NFL Network Thursday Night Football first season days.
Love it.
I don't know if it was the first or the second season. You know, Chris Collinsworth was the analyst with Bryant Gumbel.
Right? Yeah.
It was great being around Bryant Gumbel. Oh, man, I loved it. And Bryant, I remember going from St. Louis, where Marshall had his banner hung when the Rams took on the Steelers, where a game in which Fast Willie Parker broke his ankle and his career was never the same again.
Wow, I remember that.
Remember that?
Yep.
This was after I think the Steelers were the defending world champs in 2006. And we went from St. Louis to Carolina. I forget who Carolina was playing in that game. But we were on a charter. And, you know, man, I think that flight took off at midnight, 12:30. And then the question was, do you just stay up and then get to your hotel room at 4 in the morning and sleep? Is that what we're going to do? Or are you going to try and get a nap on the plane? I can't sleep on planes.
Oh, I'm out.
I can't. I just can't. So I'm up. I'm like, I'm going to power through it, even though I'm exhausted. I'm going to power through it.
Man, that's tough.
And you know who else was powering through it? Looking at notes for the next game, because you got to call a game on Thursday and Saturday. Bryant Gumbel.
Professional.
Professional. Taking notes, whatever.
Scribble in the notebook.
Correct. And so this was an NFL paid-for flight, and I don't believe there was any alcohol on it being served.
That was like the last. I wasn't on that one.
Except.
That was the last.
Except.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Bryant Gumbel asks for some orange juice of the flight attendant. And he goes to me, which is, I'll never forget this, do you want a screwdriver?
And you're like, what?
I'm like, is a guy who I revere, is one of the goats of our broadcasting business, offering me a tool?
Yeah. Flathead? Phillips?
What's going on?
What do we got?
No. He took out a small duffel bag and unzipped a fifth of vodka.
I love it. Man of my own heart.
Poured himself a drink, poured me a drink, and went back to work.
Why not?
Gosh darn it, I love Brian. You know, and Susie worked on Real Sports for years and got to work with him, told me great stories about being around him and how
I bet
amazing he is to be around and
Real
work
Sports
with.
is still throwing 95.
I mean, and the way I take my glasses and put them on and take them off, I mean, I'm probably paying homage to.
Yeah, it's true. In commercial breaks, you scribble notes.
It's odd. I take my yellow legal pad, I
turn
scribble
to the
notes,
right,
and I cross my legs.
You scribble. Coming up.
Susie, I think, once went. She did a Real Sports. She produced a Real Sports piece on the IOC and Juan Antonio Samaranch, and her reporter was Frank Deford.
Whoa.
Was the correspondent she was producing in Europe.
Legend.
And she said it was one of the greatest work experiences she's ever had, that Frank was just awesome and
that guy's the goat.
First class gentleman, just sitting there in his jacket in the lobby of some 5-star hotel.
I'm sure it was velvet.
HBO
and he wore an ascot, and that guy was the best.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. Who has been waiting the longest? That would be Wayne in North Carolina. What's up, Wayne?
Yeah, hey, Rich. Love the show.
Thanks for hanging on for as long as you did.
Yeah, no problem. Nothing better to do these days.
Okay, Wayne, thanks.
You know? Yeah, man. Just my pet peeve is with baseball and the DH. I love it. Do whatever they want to do during these times, all that sort of stuff. My problem is during the regular season when everything gets back to normal and you have the American League playing in interleague games and you have pitchers having to hit from the American League. These guys haven't done this for years. And how many pitchers are injured? You're putting the American League at a disadvantage playing the National League.
Right.
You know, you don't make the National League pitcher go play shortstop or second base or catch or outfield, you know.
No, I know. I think that's part of the reason why they're having the universal DH this season is they don't want to get pitchers hurt, and they also don't want pitchers extended. They don't want relievers to be gassed in a 60-game season played over 66 days that you're going to need to reschedule because of rainouts and things of that nature. They're going to start, and I appreciate the call. Thanks for hanging on as long as you did. They're going to start extra inning games with a runner on second. And I have been told by people who, what was that, what league was doing that? It was
like
the
a
Northern League or something
yeah,
like that, or
independent.
I don't know.
Or
so that it sounds exciting, but get ready for intentional walks. And because if you put a runner on second and Mike Trout's up, you got runner on first and second, because that runner on first doesn't matter if you give up.
Suddenly you have a double play ball and then fly out ends the inning.
A lot of sacrifices. First guy up is not named Trout. It's somebody who's 8th or 9th in the lineup.
I mean, I get the logic. You don't want a 15-inning game when you're only playing.
You put the speediest guy on there.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do what. You remember I said this on this show about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and it went nuts.
Yeah, it was on PTI.
Because somebody who was, and then I think Stugotz accused me of stealing it from him.
Yeah, exactly. And then you went on their show and big-timed him. It was pretty great.
Okay. But we had somebody who's high atop the Major League Baseball chain say that in the 9th inning, the team that is down is allowed to reconfigure the batting order where the 3 batters first up, anybody you want. So if you're 3, 4, and 5 go down in order in the 8th inning and you're losing, you could put 3, 4, and 5 back up in the 9th. And then the order would go 6, 7, 8 after that. Or you could put 1, 2, and 3 up. And then it would go 6, 7, and 8 after that because the 3, 4, 5 were out in the previous inning. Then you have to go follow the rest of the order.
It was,
but the first 3 batters, because the way that it was described to me, certainly since, again, we had John Smoltz on in the first hour saying, hey, this 60-game season, maybe they could be used as a laboratory to see what works and what doesn't, is that there's no other sport, name another sport, where the best players in the sport are not involved in the end of a game just because of the randomness of the batting order. Name another sport. It would be like LeBron, just by a randomness of the moment, you're not in with the last 90 seconds. You know? Name anybody in hockey, right?
Sometimes the way the shift goes.
Sorry, Sidney Crosby. You can't, you're not allowed on the ice. Sorry, Tom Brady. 90 seconds to go. Yeah, you're not allowed on the field.
But that's not the way those other sports are designed.
I understand.
Baseball is designed this way.
But baseball needs to get more eyeballs, more buzz. This would be a way to do it. It would be so counter to the convention of the most convention thick sport. You didn't like it because what happens if somebody is pitching a perfect game?
Yeah.
And they've earned the right to get to
face
7, 8, 9.
Exactly.
And now here comes 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And that somebody doesn't get their perfect game because 3, 4, 5.
Or they're just pitching a gem and they earned this.
I kind of digged it though. Hey man, more times I could see Aaron Judge or Mookie Betts in a Dodger uniform. I'm in.
Wow.
Dan in Clearwater, you're on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Dan?
Okay.
You there, Dan?
Hello.
Yes, sir. You're on the air.
Hi, Paul. I've been in the game.
Can you put Dan back on hold there? And tell him, Dan, you got to turn down your television set, and if you don't mind.
He's on hold again.
Let's go to Jason in Asheville, North Carolina. What's up, Jason?
What's going on, boys? In these strange times, it's very comforting to hear your guys' perspective and keep sports going, so I appreciate it. I do have a question about the polls, the poll question for the day. I'm confused because there is a team that's not listed there.
That is?
I agree with you, Rich. It's the only team that's by the Bay at this point. It's the San Francisco 49ers, my friend. I believe that they are the team that, and it's funny that Chris Brockman seems to be a bit salty about it because if I were to talk to any Patriot fan at this point, I would say to take it as an homage. You got to steal. You steal from the best. They're making moves and building a team the same way that the Patriots have for the last 2 decades. We've been waiting for someone to take up the mantle. We've been waiting for someone to take notes, take a page out of Bill Belichick's book, and we're finally seeing it.
Know your system and plug it in with players that you know that fits the system, and it's not sexy when you rearrange your salary cap or you plug and play individuals that are from other teams for people that retire. It's not sexy to just re-sign your head coach to more years. It's not. When you're talking about signing Tom Brady and Gronk, that totally makes sense. That does take Tampa down from where they were and put them in the realm of potentially battling it out with the San Francisco 49ers. Totally understand. But where the 49ers were from, and thank you for the call, where the 49ers started, they didn't go down. They didn't go down. They went up. That kid Ayuk was the apple of many eyes. I bet you the Packers were sitting there saying, let's see if he drops to us. And the minute that he went off the board, they popped up to go take Jordan Love, didn't they?
Only 8 teams out of 53 have lost the Super Bowl and gotten back the next year.
Oh, look at you. Johnny on the spot right there. You looked that up over the last 2 hours to counter an argument you didn't see coming in the first hour.
I did.
Method of your madness, sir. I see it. It ain't luck being the residue of design, I'll tell you that. The great Rob Lowe. He's got a new podcast, and we will talk about it with him. And George Lopez after him. And your phone calls in our final hour.
Audio executive Michael Del Tufo's lightning-quick reflexes on a mixing board are a sight to behold. With his combination of experience, nerves of steel, and endless stamina based on an intense workout regimen, Mike's one of the best in the business. However, what happens when Mike gets distracted by social media posts, fantasy sports, and just general daydreaming? At the Rich Eisen Studios, Soul and Science tests reveal that Del Tufo's delays in opening a mic or playing a soundbite can last anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds. Over a 3.5-year span, these daily delay lag times add up to an inconceivable 78 minutes of dead air for a national show. But when Del Tufo reconnects with his responsibilities, his adjustment speed is off the charts and almost inhuman. Mike's hand moves from his lap to the mixing board in an unthinkable speed of over 21 miles per hour. That's 5 times faster, he'd like to think, than the strike of a copperhead. His fast-twitch muscle fibers continue to amaze as his arm snaps up into the air to signal that it was my bad in just under 0.7 of a second. That's just under 0.8 of a second. It's no wonder that this man has an Emmy certificate sitting on his mantle at home, even though no one's actually seen an Emmy. I'm John Brinkus at the Rich Eisen Studios for Soul and Science.
This is the Rich Eisen Show.
Oh, my goodness.
Yo, what's up, peoples? What's up?
Yankees win.
Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles.
I
think all of sports this year have a giant asterisk, and we just need to take it for what it is. This is a way to kind of bring the country back together.
The Rich Eisen Show. Earlier on the show, Baseball Hall of Famer John Smoltz, ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter, still to come, actor Rob Lowe, plus comedian George Lopez. And now, it's Rich Eisen.
Oh, yeah. Way to drain that putt, TJ Jefferson. It's our third and final hour here on this Friday on NBCSN, our YouTube stream, youtube.com/Rich Eisen Show, and Dan Patrick Radio, Sirius XM Channel 211. I am here, and Chris Brockman and TJ Jefferson, and
I'm here and you're there.
I'm here, you're there, and we appreciate everybody hanging on hold at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. George Lopez is going to appear on this show in just about 20 minutes time, and we'll take your phone calls. But I'm proud to call this man a friend. I got to meet him many moons ago. He's made several appearances here on the Rich Eisen Show in our 6-year history. He was even on our podcast back in the NFL Media Group days. And the actor and author and stage performer is now a podcaster. He's got a new podcast that is available where all podcasts can be gotten, called Literally with Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Rob?
I'm literally here with you on the show.
You are, in fact, doing that. Did I say the title correctly? Because there is an exclamation point in the title, and I don't know if it's silent or it is like the comma in Murder.
No,
she
it
wrote.
is.
Like
I'm very pro exclamation points.
Okay.
Almost every sentence I say has an exclamation point at the end of it.
Yes, right there. I picked it up. Literally with Rob Lowe. Why the pod, Rob? Where did this come from?
You know what? I've always liked long form interviews. You and I get to do them.
Yep.
I enjoy being on them, and I have such a long history with interesting people that I thought there'd be some value in me talking to people that I'm going to be able to know things about them because of our shared history that others are never going to know. Like Magic Johnson is my next guest.
Fantastic.
Next week. Right now, the podcast that's out is with Chris Pratt, who I've known since he was, chubby Andy Dwyer on Parks and Rec, and then became ripped, shredded movie star man. So my perspective on my relationship with him is very, very different than others. With Magic, I can be like, dude, do you remember when Riley banished me from traveling with the team? And he'll be like, hey, what? You're not going to get those kind of talks with celebrities unless I'm doing the talking.
Okay, so now the Riley would be Pat, I assume.
That would be slick Pat Riley.
Okay, so unpack this story for me, Rob. I know I don't want to give away too much that's on Literally with Rob Lowe, but he banned you from traveling with the team?
Yeah, and what was so great about this is because I know my side of the story, but I don't know Magic's side of the story. Like, I didn't even know if he was aware of it, or maybe he caused it. Maybe, for all I knew, he was like, get that guy out of here. I just don't know. So I asked him, and he started laughing, and he said, oh, absolutely, I remember it well. Riley didn't want any distractions.
You're right.
In those days, I was kind of teen idol time, so wherever I went was like a posse of young fans. And but here's the part I didn't know.
Yes.
That Magic told me is,
yes.
They wouldn't even let our married players' wives come to the hotel, so they made you go stay at that hotel. I'm like, wait a minute. Me staying with the wives doesn't sound like a good plan either.
Oh man! So how did you how did you come about to travel with the Lakers to begin with, though, Rob?
Well, at that point in my life, I was single. I was in my early 20s, and huge sports fan.
Right.
And I would, do movies, and then in my time off, I had the time, and I loved the game so much. So. I had season seats and all of that, but I only really went on the road for the playoffs. But that was the best. That's when he wanted to go on the road.
Well, I mean, Riley wants to tighten the rotation in the playoffs, Rob. I'm sure you've seen Pat since many times, I imagine.
Oh
right?
yeah, he's just there's nobody like him.
There isn't.
I pointed out to Magic also on the podcast that the Lakers are known for having a coach who never sat down. Because Pat never took a seat ever in any game he ever coached. Never, not once. To going to a coach who never stood up.
It's in Phil Jackson, right?
Phil Jackson.
Because when Phil would have to unfold himself to stand up.
It took him 10 minutes.
I mean, Phil's kind of, he's got a lot of moving parts when he just walks around and stands up, But that's right. Riley never sat.
Never. Not once. He had that great kind of Riley squat that I think David Caruso stole from CSI Miami. Like, if you ever watch CSI Miami and David Caruso comes into a crime scene, he's doing the Pat Riley squat.
Rob, for our Super Bowl this year, which was in Miami, for our Super Bowl Open, I played the David Caruso character with a red wig and all. I will send you. The photographs and even one of the show opens that I did.
Oh, please.
Where I did at one point. We actually even got Rex Lynn to reprise his character.
No way.
As well. Oh, yes. And part of the open was, with the whole, music and everything, was me getting down, squatting down like David Caruso and standing over a first down marker to see if it was a first down with a football. And also using forceps to pick up a yellow flag and bag it like it was something from a crime scene.
What was your one-liner though?
Oh, just all of them. I don't remember anything specifically, but they all were done when delivering them. Putting the glasses on. That was the Caruso move. It wasn't taking the glasses off and delivering the line. It was the glasses on.
I think, I hopefully they said, Captain, do you think it's a first down? And you do your squat and he goes, and it's not the only thing that's going down. And then you play the music.
But me being a 50-year-old man, I did need, on occasion, help getting up, to be very honest with you, because he really went down. I mean, the squat, he did get the squat.
He stole it from Riley. I'm just telling you. He stole it from Pat Riley.
Rob Lowe here on the Rich Eisen Show. Anything else that you chatted up with Magic that you want to tease?
I have a really great lineup coming in. Gwyneth Paltrow I think is going to be the next guest.
Okay.
And my wife and I have known Gwyneth since she was an 18-year-old staying in our guest bedroom, meeting with agents.
Huh.
So
now, were you like friendly with Blythe Danner, with her mom, and her
friendly with her mom and her dad, Bruce Paltrow,
of course.
And here's a little factoid.
Yes.
That Mike Myers, also a guest coming up, who does not do a lot of podcasts, so it was great to have the comic genius Mike Myers, talks about how he based his character of the Cat in the Hat on Gwyneth's dad, Bruce Paltrow, which is the most random.
Oh gosh.
Choice. Yeah, so if you ever watch The Cat in the Hat, he's literally, hence my title, he's literally doing Bruce Paltrow.
Okay, so you got that connection right there. And again, just reading I mentioned you as an author to introduce you. Stories I Only Tell My Friends, an autobiography, is truly a must-read. The stories that you have and the people that you have come across in your career, Rob, and also growing up, is a Charlie Sheen appearance in the offing for you?
He could be in an off. That would be an entire season of episodes.
Literally,
that would be. I mean, you would have to go to Apple, Spotify, and just you'd have to reserve 10 more future seasons.
And then what about Tom Cruise? Can we get Tom on?
Yeah, no, they're all in the mix for sure.
Okay,
it's been a very eclectic group, and it's been way more fun than I thought it would be. And I thought it would be fun to begin with, or I wouldn't have done it in the first place. it has been. I mean, I'm envious of what you get to do. You're a curious dude. You're smart and you're funny.
Thanks,
and every
man.
day you get to talk to people and have interesting conversations. It's been great. I may give it up. I may never act again, and I know there'll be a lot of people happy about that. But, I may just be doing my podcast.
What would Cruz call your pod? Would he call it I Did Low? I mean, did Rob? What would we do? What would he say?
The story you're alluding to is that Tom famously shortened the titles of all of his movies, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever as a young actor. Like, he did a movie called All the Right Moves, football player, right? And he was like, yeah, man, I had to do a lot of training when I did moves. And I always thought that...
Like, what?
I always thought that was really, really cool. But then when he did short title movies, it was a little more awkward. Like when he did Cocktail.
Yeah, that would be a conundrum. That would be somewhat of a conundrum. No doubt about that.
You don't have a lot of both choices are bad.
Oh my gosh! So I guess he would do Low, or he'd do.
I did Lit.
I did Lit. I did Lit.
Yeah,
I did Lit.
Rob's got a podcast. It's Lit.
It's Lit. Yeah, you did Lit. Oh man. I would be remiss if I did not ask you about St. Elmo's Fire, sir. Since Joel Schumacher, the director of this film, passed away. What was that, earlier this week?
It was earlier this week. What a life he had. What an amazing... He started out as literally a junkie on the streets of New York, and then designed the windows at Macy's department store, and then into production design and writing and directing, and then making some of the most iconic movies of his era. And he was really responsible for a big uptick in my career, because that part of Billy in St. Elmo's Fire was something that people really gravitated to, and no one wanted me to play that part except Joel. Everybody thought I should play the Judd Nelson part of the sort of yuppie square. And I wanted to play Billy because it's a better part. And they didn't believe I could be a bad boy, so I remember showing up with a six-pack at the meeting with Joel and just drinking it, and just getting hammered in the middle of the meeting. And next thing you know, I got the part.
Come on, that's how you proved? That's amazing. You just brought a six, and then
I brought a sixer in, and it was quite funny. Those were the days, man. Those are when you could have a good excuse for your alcoholism. It was really great. I loved it.
Now, is this the time when you were barred from traveling with the Lakers? Was this the Rob Lowe?
Gee, Rich, now that you're calling my attention back to it, the fact that I was showing up to work meetings with a six-pack probably would be indicative of why Pat Riley didn't want me around the team.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, this was 1985.
Yeah. Right in the height, man.
What have you during the quarantine turned on anything that you from your career and you're like, I forgot, or about this, or man, this really brings back memories? Anything that you turned on the TV and you saw something?
They've been running a lot of some of the old stuff. A lot of Parks and Rec has been on, which is great. And people are still watching The West Wing. The more the political situation gets crazier, the more people go back to the West Wing for comfort. And The West Wing now plays like a sci-fi movie. It seems so unreal, and it's fun to go back and look at those things. They more than stand up, and I love that I was able to be a part of those two.
Well, I'm looking forward to your future episodes of your pod. Your stories are amazing, and this format is perfect for them. So, I can't wait to hear Mike Myers come on. You could tell stories about Powers and World, right? When you did those movies.
Yeah, when I did Wayne's.
When you did Wayne's,
it would sure be Wayne's.
It should be Wayne's. It wouldn't be. You did Wayne's.
I did Wayne's.
And Powers.
And you know what? It's by the way, I was thinking of Chris Farley and David Spade, and this week is the 25th anniversary of Boy.
No kidding. Are you serious? 25 years since that.
Since Boy came out.
Wow, you're referring. Well, I guess because you can't. Tommy.
If you do Tommy, it's two.
Well, people would also think it might be the movie with the Who. You know what I mean?
I think I was Pete Townsend crashing.
Speaking of which, I had placed in my hand during this conversation by our social media grandmaster, T.J. Jefferson, the lines that I did have as David Caruso in the
hit me with them, please.
Okay. So the concept of the show open was that the Lombardi Trophy had been stolen. Okay, because again, this is for the Super Bowl.
This is the greatest idea ever.
Okay, so here's a line. When Tripp is looking at me, Rex Lynn is looking at me. I say, I find that trophy, Tripp. I'm going to find it because when I play to win.
Oh, so good.
Okay, another one. No Lombardi Trophy, no ball game. That's one. Okay. When we find out 2 suspects, Tripp, I'm about to bench these guys because this is one whale of a party foul. Okay. The great Colin Hanks played a cameo as the boat captain that was eventually arrested for this heinous crime.
Captain Phillips.
Yeah, so, why did we never put that together? We needed Rob Lowe to connect these dots.
The Hanks family insists on playing boat captain. They can't get enough of it.
That's true. So I looked at Colin, who, by the way, cracked me up. It was very difficult for me to keep a straight face. Don't sail too far from shore, Captain. You're not off the hook yet. Okay. And then when he's finally taken away in handcuffs, this was the last line of, because it was like an episodic. Each day we were on the air for 5 days. We advanced the plot with a different open each day.
Right.
So this was the way it ended, Rob. That's the as Colin Hanks is being led off by Rex Lynn. That's the end of regulation, Skipper. Game over. As I put the glasses on, and that was it. So
the next time I come on your show, I'm going to explain, and this is a true story, that David Caruso told all the writers and producers on that show that his character was actually a ghost.
Hold on a second. This can't be a tease for the next experience of the Rob Lowe appearance on the show.
See, I mean, I'm telling you.
What?
Look, if you like these kind of stories, this is why I have a podcast now.
You must literally download it.
Well done.
Oh, come on now.
He's a ghost. Thought he was playing a ghost. That's all I'm going to say.
In CSI Miami, or
and I thought that was like an apocryphal story, like, or an urban legend.
Yeah.
And I've since met multiple people, writers, producers who are like, oh no, when you come on the show as a writer, you have to go to David's trailer and get the talk, and he tells you that he's playing that Horatio Caine is a spirit that is there to solve crimes. And just on a practical level, apparently what that meant was he doesn't like to be filmed entering and exiting.
Oh, because he would sashay all over the place.
Yeah, but if you notice, you never go, who's that? Oh, Horatio, it's you. Never.
Rob,
because ghosts don't need to walk through doors.
No, you're right. Walls doesn't matter.
Wow.
Criminals don't stand a chance against the spirit that is Horatio Caine.
And that's why I like Halloween.
Rob, thanks for the call.
It was great.
Always enjoy it. You take care of yourself. We'll chat soon. Right back at you. Literally with Rob Lowe. That's the latest podcast. Oh, my gosh.
That guy is amazing.
Just scratching the surface of the stories that this man could tell and that he's got in his Rolodex.
They were rock stars.
Dude.
I mean, that group of them.
Yeah, when Pat Riley kicked me off the road with the Showtime Lakers.
What?
It's amazing.
Rob Lowe also hasn't aged in about 30 years.
Rob had just done Oxford, and fun stuff. It only gets more fun when we come back with George Lopez here on The Rich Eisen Show, and then your phone calls to wrap up this Friday show at 844-204-RICH.
Rob Lowe's a little older than Wilford Brimley.
By the way, kudos to our crew, Hoskins and Sean and Don at home for getting those photographs.
That was a fun day.
So quickly.
That was a fun day.
It was a fun day.
That was a fun day.
I don't mean to.
I know you had a lot going on that day.
But, and we'll get this for a laugh, but that was the day before my dad passed.
I know.
And we knew that he was, on dire straits. And Susie's like, you got to go do this shoot. Your dad would want you to do the shoot. It's for the Super Bowl. Go have fun. And then when it's over, go see him. So it brings back some memories. Yeah. And I needed it. And it's funny, like, Colin Hanks is a dear friend, and his wife and my wife really get along. And so I was sharing with him, and he was so great, and we were sharing so much with each other. And he was dressed as a boat captain, and I was dressed as David Caruso. And he's like, he told me a story about the craziest moments in his career, talking about real life matters. He's dressed as something totally wild.
You had that. You had that.
He
Caruso,
had an ascot and
you
a
had
hat.
the wig on.
I
was
had the wig. And we were like
saw
crying
you.
and hugging it out. And he's dressed like Thurston Howell, and I'm dressed like David Caruso. And it was.
Yeah.
Oof.
All right, roll it, Don. Let's check it out.
On an all-new RES Miami. What do we have here, Frank?
Vince Lombardi trophy was last seen on that yacht. Now it's gone missing.
No Lombardi trophy? No ball game. It's party fouls, forensics, and football.
We have eyewitnesses who placed you both at the party last night. I don't know anything about a dead body.
You mean a missing trophy?
Rich Eisen's on the case.
I'm gonna find that trophy, Frank.
RES Miami. Live from South Beach with a big game.
So good.
Don, get that queued up because I got to show it on NBCSN too.
So
That was so good.
Oh yeah.
That was so fun.
Oh yeah. I'll give them a shout out when we come back, because I'm throwing to the George Lopez piece. Correct? I'm throwing to it. Great, because we zoomed with him. Yeah, I got you, Don. Very good. This is going to be a fun interview. George Lopez.
No trophy, no ball.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, Rich.
What a day. That was a fun day.
Stories from.
Oh, Rex has got tons of stories
We were
too.
just sitting in the tent.
We were just sitting there, me,
yeah.
TJ, and Brock, and we're just laughing.
And he loves to meet people too.
Yeah.
Rex is a delightful human. All right, we're back in a second. If you're on hold, stay on hold, and we'll take your calls towards the end of this hour at 844-204-RICH. Before we get to George Lopez, I Zoomed with him earlier in the week. So before we get to that, I do want to play the promo for our big week in Miami. The fantastic crew here at Audience and formerly DirecTV and AT&T that supported the show for so long. For 5+ years, Kelly Beck and Richard Charney came up with the idea of, hey, you're going to the Super Bowl in Miami, and we've got a couple ideas for you. And they're like, first idea is your David Caruso, CSI Miami. I'm like, I don't care what the other idea is. That's the one we're doing. So we had a shoot. Rex Lynn from CSI Miami was part of it. Same with Colin Hanks. We just referred to it with Rob Lowe. Just real quick, show the promo. It's delightful.
On an all-new RES Miami. What do we have here, Frank?
Vince Lombardi trophy was last seen on that yacht. Now it's gone missing.
No Lombardi trophy? No ball game.
It's party fouls, forensics, and football.
We have eyewitnesses who placed you both at the party last night. I don't know anything about a dead body.
You mean a missing trophy?
Rich Eisen's on the case.
I'm gonna find that trophy, Frank.
RES Miami. Live from South Beach with a big game.
I don't know anything about a dead body.
Oh, Colin Hanks. And just standing there on a boat, with my hands on my hips.
I mean,
It was a great day in the marina.
It was funny.
Yeah.
You looked great
in the marina.
So fun.
Oh my gosh.
Look, I mean, Rich.
And by the way,
Crouch.
Getting up was very difficult.
Crouch.
But I do it all for comedy. I do it all for the show. Okay, so George Lopez, I met him many years ago at a Raiders game. And then in an airport, he's always like, yeah, I would love to do your show. I'd love to do your show. It had taken quite some time. We finally got it done in advance of his new Netflix stand-up special. Roll it. Joining me here now on the Rich Eisen Show via the good old Zoom is a gentleman I've been happy to say that I've known for quite some time, a diehard fan of the Raiders, once upon a time from Oakland, then Los Angeles, then Oakland again, now the Las Vegas Raiders. And he will be part of a stand-up special, new Netflix comedy special. George Lopez will do it for half. That is streaming on Tuesday, June 30th, only on Netflix. The man himself, George Lopez. How are you, sir?
Good to see you, Rich.
Good to see you, too. How's life? How's everything?
Under this situation, I wish that we were all back to our lives, but we understand that, that this takes precedence. But it's been interesting. I mean, I don't think I've had this time off since I started doing stand-up, really kind of 87. So it's been an interesting few months of deciding whether, when this is resolved and how, hopefully we get out of it without losing too many people, that if I would even go back to resuming a schedule that I had before. Because as you get older, you realize, do I really want to push this hard after accomplishing, pretty much everything I've wanted to do? I love stand-up so much, and in sports analogies, when somebody says, why are you doing stand-up? And if you say, would Muhammad Ali have fought if he could fight till 59? I mean, would Kareem have played if he could be sharp at 59? If you could fly, would you not fly? So, those things go through my mind when you think about, I've never really disconnected. And if I do disconnect, it's so tough to connect again. So, ring rust and situations and, there's never been a shortage of things to talk about, but I've enjoyed a little bit of the solitude.
Well, now that you're out, I guess, promoting this special was filmed at the Warfield Theater in San Francisco. When did you do this? At what point? When was
I did it last December, I think the 14th of December. And the Warfield, I'm a huge, nobody was a bigger historian of their craft than Mike Tyson. I mean, he knew every fight. Customado had him sitting in the room. He was looking at Jack Dempsey and every great fighter. He knew their attributes. He knew their weaknesses, and they even had the body, would yell out 5-3-1, and he'd throw these combinations and stuff. And the Warfield, with looking at Nirvana in there, Jerry Garcia's dressing room is the main dressing room, looking at Janis Joplin, looking at Jimi Hendrix, looking at Jerry Garcia, the Grateful Dead, and all the signatures you see on the wall there. They had closed for renovations, I believe, and then they opened up in 2007. And at 2007, they asked me to be the first person to open, and I did 2 shows. And Carlos Santana came to see me, I believe, one of those shows, and he sat in the audience. He's like, I want to get a feel of what it's like in the audience. And then after the show, when the lights come on, he was trying to get out. In the balcony, he looked down and saw that Carlos Santana was in the aisle. And instead of waiting to, run and take the stairs down, that dude jumped from the balcony about maybe 15 feet and landed at the feet of Carlos Santana to tell him how big a fan he was. And, they held him up to his feet. They're like, hey, bro, you don't have to miss it. This is such a huge fan. And then I was backstage going, what happened to Carlos? He goes, some dude jumped out of the balcony and landed on his feet, and it tripped him out, and he ended up going home. He said to tell you that he loved the show.
I have to say, no patrons were harmed in the making of this.
No patrons were harmed. That's a pretty good drop, man. It was a pretty good drop. 15.
Wow, that is amazing. And I imagine right around then, December of 2019, 49er Mania was probably gripping that town at that point in time. And I don't know if you were able to maybe take one more spin by the black hole one more time. I don't know if that was going down for you in that time.
Well, I don't think, football is awesome.
Yes.
The fact that I went to the Super Bowl with Carolina and Denver, yes. But to see the stadium way outside of San Francisco,
right,
is a little bit of a I'm not sure if I agree with the San Francisco 49ers not being in San Francisco. Candlestick clearly was not a place they ever anticipated being there forever. It was old. It was cold. I went there with my grandparents to see the Dodgers and the Giants play when Dave Kingman played, and I was a huge Willie Davis fan, and he didn't play that game, and they'd gotten killed. I remember seeing the ball land in front of the outfielder. It might have been Von Joshua, and it bounced over his head, and everybody started laughing. I mean, it bounced 50 feet over his head. He ran in, and it hopped in front of him, bounced over his head, went to the wall. And to see Sunday mornings and not see families, as I was leaving the Punchline to head back to LA, to not see families with the jerseys and generations of people from the Mission area not being able to go to a game in San Francisco, just like I don't believe that the Raiders leaving the field the way they did. I love Mark Davis. I would consider him a very good friend of mine. I don't think it was really the best response to say that you're leaving nothing, you're not taking anything with you as you go to Las Vegas. The black hole and what it meant to be a fan in Oakland, what you had these fans that even through the darkest times of Raiderdom still looked at Al Davis as a hero, an icon, a beam of fire that they light every game. So them moving to Las Vegas is an interesting play, man. And there's a lot of people that, as I sat there or went to the black hole or hung around afterwards and thought that one Sunday, nobody's going to be there. And now that the Warriors have gone to San Francisco, right? And I don't know how they feel about saging new buildings, but their start at that stadium, I'd bring in a couple of shaman to come in and either put sage in the dressing rooms or on the court, because that place does not have the vibe that Oracle had. And then it's all connected. The multiplex of where the A's played and the Raiders played. Right. Wonderful property there. But now you're taking two professional teams out of a city like Oakland and leaving them with the A's in an old stadium. And, you know, Day on the Green was so long ago with Zeppelin and all the bands that they used to have there. So it's a little disheartening to know that a city like Oakland that has been, you know, a city of the Black Panthers, of culture, of historical, you know, situations that happen in such a great city, that they would be left with just a reminder of the teams and the fans that, you know, would die for that team.
Who was your guy growing up? Who's your guy, George?
I mean, George Blanda, Daryl LaMonica, Lyle Alzado. I met at the country club in Reseda in the early '80s when he was trying to come back with the Raiders. Mm-hmm. David Lee Roth used to go to these boxing matches. I was still working during the days in the early '80s. I took a picture with Lyle Alzado, put my arm around him, and his bicep was, I said, "What is this, maple?" You know, and you know, he's laughing. I took this picture with him, and I was at a birthday at this rib place in Beverly Hills called RJ's, and I saw Lyle Alzado a month before he passed walk down shaky with his headband on, and his wife taking him out, and it was really sad to see.
I bet
someone like that, and you're like, "Hey, Lyle," say hi, Lyle, you know, and to see someone that damaged from something that was so unproven that the idea of playing again, that you would risk your own life for a season of an already amazing career.
Right. So those are your guys growing up, and it seems like, so right now, you know, you're not going to follow the team to Vegas. You'll root for them. You know.
No. I listen. You go where. I mean, I was at the groundbreaking with Mark and you know, the commissioner. Okay. Santana was there, and Wayne Newton. It gives you an idea already of what, you know, of the fact that you can be on the field and see the Imperial Palace and see, I made a joke. I said, for kickers, everything breaks towards Excalibur.
Yes.
So the idea that one of the things that was great about cities that had stadiums is you could see at Wrigley, you could see at places, neighborhoods, and those things, at Wrigley, at Fenway, and then lights before Wrigley, and now they put up pretty much awnings and seats where you charge people who live across the street. They don't have the access that they used to have, and sports was never really about the money until you realize that it was all about the money.
Oh, sure. And you see that it looks like the Death Star. I mean, like this is exactly what Al Davis thought, if they could move this team somewhere and build a Death Star. Literally, it looks like it's going to shoot a beam out at the Rebels that come in to try and win.
The whole black lacquer look, the whole onyx type feel. The T-Mobile Arena looks like a pot that they bring you steamed rice in when you're at a Japanese or Chinese restaurant. I go, oh, you wanted rice? It looks like it's a bamboo thing that you put rice on top. Hey, everybody, just dig in and get this rice. So clearly, the NHL works in Las Vegas. Maybe I don't believe that.
Right.
The Clippers belong in Los Angeles. The Clippers became the Clippers in San Diego because of the Yankee Clipper, or the Clippers being Sailors. But when you cover up 16 banners with players on the Clippers, when the Clippers share the arena or Staples Center is disingenuous to a team that's won 16 championships. I don't think anybody would ever dare to go to whatever the Boston Garden is now and put banners over the championship Celtic banners.
Well, look, man, I'm looking forward to seeing your special. Give everybody what a little taste of what to expect when they stream. It's just more of the same, just a good old fashioned classic George Lopez.
This is I've created an uncle alter ego that I had these uncles. It's a combination of all of them that they told my uncle not to drink. You have heart disease, you have a gangrenous right foot, you have liver, cirrhosis of the liver. You drink, you die. And I saw my uncle go to the doctor. Oh, nobody heckles a doctor. And he drank. He lost his foot. We called them like pick aparts. Hey, when somebody needs a knee, they're going to take his knee. And it is about a little bit of what's going on now with some immigration stuff. It's all the family stuff. And it's a little bit ridiculous to think that we all need to know where our food came from. If they said, hey, these tortillas are handmade, they're like, whose hands? Was the chicken humanely put down? Giving CBD oil to my rescue dogs. All of the things that I think at this particular time in the middle of the summer, I think it'll be a special that'll be very well received. As the screeners have started to go out, I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people that I would not have expected great feedback from, because comedy is a business where everybody thinks that they're better than everybody else. And they find it hard to give somebody a compliment. When I used to think that the fact that all these Latino comedians would never say, I was inspired by George Lopez, when clearly I was doing it while they were still in elementary school. So I don't need the confirmation, because I pretty much have done everything I ever aspired to do. So you're just playing with house money now, Rich.
Well, before I let you go, who was on tour? Who was out there with you in '87 when you started? Who was out there with you? Who were you opening for? Who were you? Who did?
Well, I started in 1979. I quit my job at '87. So in '79, Jay Leno was there. David Letterman wore a Ball University T-shirt. He drove a pickup truck to and from the Comedy Store. Gary Shandling was at the Comedy Store in Westwood. Howie Mandel, Tim Thomerson, Yakov Smirnoff, Pryor. I remember when we were there, we heard this incredible commotion coming from the main room, and Robin Williams was on stage. They opened this door. Robin Williams is on stage in his Mork and Mindy costume. He must have came from Paramount, in the suspenders and the pants. And, Rock, Seinfeld, Arsenio, Richard Pryor, I saw idling in a yellow Corniche Rolls Royce in front of the Comedy Store by himself, listening to his set on a microcassette recorder. Just the greatest period of time in a 18-year-old Chicano from the San Fernando Valley's life. I could not have asked for, even though I didn't know him, I could not have asked to see better representation of comedy. I met Dick Gregory, I saw Dick Shawn, I became friends with Richard Pryor. I know Chris Rock, Eddie Murphy and I are friendly, and then Arsenio and I have been friends for 31 years. So as a fan of it, I never thought I was better than anybody. I just wanted to be me. And to know all these guys and to know musicians the way I know musicians, and to just be able to, play golf. And I played golf with Scottie Pippen yesterday at Lakeside. To see these guys, and golf has been a great way to do that. It's not a bad life, Rich.
It sure is. What did you talk to Scottie about the Last Dance documentary?
We talk a little bit about the Last Dance. A guy was talking to him about a guy who invented the barcode that owns a tremendous amount of property in Chicago, tremendous car collection, 2 buildings. And they said, like Jay Leno, he goes, this guy goes to Jay Leno goes to this guy to see if he'll sell him cars. But a little bit about the Last Dance, not a lot about it. I realized that they want to be left alone. But hey, when Michael Jordan, when he left, we said, if Michael Jordan says that none of this would have been accomplished by not having Scottie Pippen at my side, you realize that the greatest, arguably one of the greatest players to ever play basketball, says that I would not have done what I did without having the guy who shot 97 by my side.
That's right. Hey, you're the man. George, thanks for the time.
Yeah, man, of course. Anytime.
Great to catch
Let's do it on the regular now that it only took 13 years to get
I know, it took a long time, but at least better late than never. George,
I appreciate it.
You got it. George Lopez, will do it for half, can be starting to stream on the 30th, Tuesday, streaming on Netflix only. That's George Lopez here on The Rich Eisen Show. Fun to catch up with George. Good times right there. Okay, so 844-204-RICH is the number to dial here on The Rich Eisen Show. Let's take a break. Let's empty the phone banks and let's get to the weekend. How about them apples right here on The Rich Eisen Show? We'll review the poll question and review why Chris Brockman's been wrong about it for the last 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't.
How about George saying, so yeah, we're talking to Scotty about the guy who invented the barcode. How do you think that guy went over, huh? Invented the barcode.
Seems like a what?
How does somebody like 6'8" play golf anyway? Like 6'9". If you have one thing wrong with your swing, right?
Cool. But everything's good. Think about, we don't get our shafts and clubs custom sized or whatever. But like for a guy 6'8",
what we have over here are like toothpicks.
That's right. He's got to get, extra 4 or 5 inches on all of his clubs.
Who took all the golf clubs here? You didn't take them?
Looking at me. I got my own.
You offer putters to every guest who used to come in here.
Yeah, Rich, you forget. Yep.
The picture we posted of Rob Lowe, he's holding a putter that I assume he walked out with.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
TJ.
Really, TJ?
Yeah.
Really?
It's on at Rich Eisen Show on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gave him a putter?
I believe so.
I gave Larry David one, I think.
Yep.
There it is. There it is. Yeah. It's like American Gothic right there. It's an American Gothic. I'm a gracious guy.
Yeah.
I'm a gracious guy.
Take the putter.
Look at that. Here I am, dressed in a button-down dress shirt and a blazer and a pocket square. And next to Rob Lowe in his shirt, I look like a burlap sack. Look how totally unkempt I look like right there. And I'm put together. That is put together.
I mean, Rich, compared to me, you look like you're
Look at that. Look at the bottom of the shirt. Looks like it's coming out of my pants. And look at Rob. Rob's just standing there. Jacked.
Like this.
Yeah.
And look at me.
Guy probably surfs every morning.
I look like Wilford Brimley in Cocoon. He is older than me, and I look older than him right there.
He's 56.
And I look like Wilford Brimley in Cocoon right there, and I wasn't even 51. How the hell was Wilford Brimley 51 years old during Cocoon?
Exactly. He plays a retired guy that's probably supposed to be 70.
I don't know, man.
65.
Yeah, look at that. So he did take that home. I'm not saying it's just a putter. I'm talking about the actual irons and used to chip around here.
Oh, yeah, we were chipping around here.
Did El Zuro take it to Fox? To Baby Fox? Big Fox? Did he take it?
We may have to, we'll do a little
Sticky fingered El Zuro.
Sticky finger Zorro.
All right, we're back in a second. Podcast1.com/Rich Eisen. Get our podcast all 3 hours. If you missed anything today on any of our platforms, just check it out on podcast1.com/Rich Eisen. And please do subscribe. The whole history of this show is sitting out there. Okay, 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. I'll just throw this out there. A high-placed source. Within my if you will, day job, because this is my moonlighting gig in the NFL Network, told me that Dr. Alan Sills, chief medical officer of the NFL, had a video conference with all 32 owners yesterday. Just to go over stuff. The only information I got was that Dr. Alan Sills addressed the ownership in a white lab coat. He wore his lab coat, which was called an unbelievable flex.
Oh, wow.
And my response was, if you could wear a white lab coat,
I don't
wouldn't you wear it all the time? Like if your job here on the Rich Eisen Show allowed you to show up at work in a white. Do you have a white lab coat there from one of the many roles you played?
I used to have one.
Paging Dr.
I think it was AJ's mom's or something.
Where did you get that?
Paging Dr. Brockman?
Oh, yeah, we used to page you because whenever you would go over the injury report, you would show up and you would sort of like PTI, you would dress up as a doctor and give the injury report. Kind of a cutesy way to talk about who's seriously injured in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah, so-and-so's got a broken leg, but I'm dressed like a doctor right now.
Hey, look at me. And I had a stethoscope at one point.
Yeah, I mean, I got to find
You don't have the drop ready because that's so deep.
It's in, but I'm
Paging Dr. Brockman.
It's like year 1 or 2.
I think I might have done the drop by holding my nose.
It's very
Paging Dr. Brockman. But wouldn't you, if you could legitimately, any of us out there, legitimately wear a white lab coat? Because he could. That's a choice. Like he could say, hey,
suit.
I've got, I'm going to address the ownership, the membership of the NFL about a very serious subject, but let me just take this off and sit down. Nope. I got the lab coat on.
That's how you know
it's a flex.
It's serious.
It is. 844-204-RICH. Mike, can you take a phone call while you're looking for that drop?
Yep.
Can you walk in that's the walk and this is the chew gum part? Okay. Ruben in Sonoma County, you're on the Rich Eisen Show. What's up, Ruben?
Hey, good day to you lads there. Once again, another solid show you guys have had.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that.
All right. You kind of worked into my segue here, so I appreciate you bringing up the fact that the doctor talked to all 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean,
so
I'm sure that's a regular thing, but it just happened yesterday.
Yeah. So I have an idea what the NFL could do. I mean, granted, in the last couple of years, they've been so concerned about player safety that they've kind of cut out practices a lot and kind of basically glorified 7-on-7 practices. So what I was thinking of is why don't they just have the offense practice in the morning and have the defense practice in the evening? If they're so worried about social distancing and things like that, have it done that way.
Just stagger it in a way and keep people as much away as possible. Look, man, I think what's going to end up happening is they're going to test the hell out of these guys. I mean, it's going to be aggressive testing, and it's going to be hopefully as instantaneous as possible. So the test isn't some sort of like 6-10 hour lag time where you test somebody and then you put them out on a practice field and you find out after practice that they put a COVID-19 positive person on the field. Like legitimately find out how fast you can do this, and how accurately and how fast you can do this. And that's it. And then whoever is not in that tier 1 group just does not come into contact with the players who have to take care of their business when they go home. That's it. Yeah. And don't go out and don't put your team in danger because you wanted to go out if you're living in an area that for some reason it still has 75, 100% capacity if bars are open, even though Texas and Florida is apparently closing their bars now only takeout service.
That was just straight up craziness for them to even think of doing that.
Well, that's what I just don't know, but I honestly, because coaches are going to be, and I thank you for the call. Appreciate it. You be happy and healthy. Coaches are just going to say, show up, and we're going to hold as much practice as we can that's as normal as we can. And as Sean McVay and John Harbaugh said, it's impossible to social distance in the NFL. I saw Florio on Pro Football Talk about maybe teams go more no huddle. Try not to huddle up.
I saw one thing. What if you put an earpiece in everyone's helmet?
That's what he said. Yes, that's what it was. That there's right. So everybody hears the play call from the
OC or even the quarterback.
Right.
I think that would sounds smart. Sounds innovative.
I know. So that would be 10 more helmets the Patriots can mess with, right?
Let's scramble
10 more helmets to hear Zolak do the radio call.
Oh, right. That's right. Could you imagine? You're trying to win a game in Foxborough.
You know what? Go run another 40 in your suit.
And you hear that voice all of a sudden.
You're like, what?
Black suit, black tie.
Straight down the middle. That's me. Rich Eisen Show. In Sonoma County.
Paging Dr. Brockman.
Oh, so it wasn't me. There you go. See, you can wear a white lab coat. Sonoma County, home in many ways of the San Francisco 49ers, the team that had the best offseason of 2020, and for some reason got left off the poll question. Chris Brockman at Rich Eisen Show. You wanna hit it right there?
Yeah, best NFL offseason so far. Adam Schefter said it. Far and away, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 56%.
Yeah, I mean, look, I knew once you put that out there that's.
I mean, they added a 43-year-old player.
And that's why everybody thinks that it's a no-brainer. But it's Gronk too, man.
We were just talking about
this. And it's Gronk too.
TJ and I at the break. Today's Michael Vick's birthday. He turns 40. 3 years younger than that guy.
Vick is just 40 years old, huh?
Yeah. Crazy.
Again, my point is that the Bucs started here. They're now here. The 49ers were already there. You can't put the Buccaneers past the 49ers. The 49ers made the Super Bowl. So going into the season, they're already at a certain level.
Okay.
And didn't lose appreciably anybody. And Joe Staley's out and Trent Williams is in. That's what I'm saying. They drafted well. They made smart moves that for long-term, cap-wise, they kept their coach under the fold.
They're still the favorite for you in the NFC? 49ers?
I don't know. I understand that, seasons are different. I don't know why they wouldn't be.
Okay.
And I know Brady's practicing on his own when he's being told not to, but he's still, there's still going to be some sort of growing pains, one would think. All right, Al in Dallas. What's up, Albert? How you been?
I could use a putter, Richard.
We're fresh out of him, Al.
Yeah.
We're fresh out of him.
I saw. They got legs. They all walked out. Hey, listen, first of all, happy belated birthday.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're trying to tell me that Wilford Brimley was 51 years old
apparently
when he
did Cocoon.
Well,
it's
crazy.
You
know what that tells you? You know what that tells you?
What does it tell me?
Got to stay away from oatmeal, bro.
That'd be the right thing to do. That would be the right thing to do. I agree with you.
Quaker Oats, that'll get you every time. I didn't know we were going to hear the word Invictive and Yakov Smirnoff in your show, and that's why you have the best daytime show going on.
I appreciate that. Hey, that was Yakov Smirnoff, as we all know. What a country.
What a country.
And also a very dramatic star turn in Moscow on the Hudson, which I think was maybe Robin Williams, kind of one of his first serious
coming
roles,
out movies.
right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was a great movie.
I appreciate that.
Ways missed and Invictive. I think that's a word alert because I had to use it in context, and I was quite sure that Deion wasn't using it. I was quite sure you were.
You take care of yourself, Al. You
take
be
care,
well.
buddy.
You got it. You got it. Those are our phone lines right there. Al is one of the first people to call our show.
Yeah.
He was Al in Houston at that point. And every single time I called him out, I thought, again, of every single time the Knicks we're over the cap, and
he was dead money for New
Dude,
York.
I think he still is.
Long time.
Is who's more dead money in New York, Allen Houston or Bobby Bonilla?
Bobby Bonilla. Bobby Bonilla.
Baby. Let me see what this.
Bobby Bonilla is
2030, right?
He's paid for another 10 years.
Yeah, it's 2030.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Deferred money. Genius.
My gosh. Still.
$1 million a year,
Make your
right?
move. Make your move. Okay, so we love it when people call the show and say that we're here for them in tough times. And we have been here on our show during the pandemic pretty much every single day. And I want to thank you guys for being here, everybody, and those who are working at home. And I just want to say the following here. And I know I might be disappointing some of the 454s out there, certainly in the YouTube stream, that say that they enjoy watching us every single day. We're going to take a summer hiatus. It's been a long time since I've been, off during the summer. Right before this show began, about 6 summers ago, is pretty much the last time. We've been working like crazy.
Around the clock.
Oh, right, around the clock. And so with NBCSN and its schedule being chock full of Premier League action in our time slot for the next several weeks, next foreseeable future, we figured now would be the time to just, tap the top of our helmet and take some time, be with our families. And then when sports is slated to return later on in July, NBA, NHL, NFL training camps, baseball opening day, the Rich Eisen show will be there for you. Okay, so knock on wood if you're with me, and wear a mask. Wear a mask so then when we return in July, later in July, we'll have live sports. Please, everybody, stay healthy and safe, and that'll wrap up our show.